right, welcome again, everybody, to another edition of 13 Card Subject Chain. I am Leroy, as always. I got my good buddy sitting across from me, Zach. You know, you're kind of homely today, as always.
Well, you know, I never care about my looks, so
that's thank God you have a girlfriend that loves you.
Yeah, well, you know, there you go. All right, well, Leroy, as you said, welcome back to 13 Cards. We have 13 cards. Today we're going to have a little bit of a different thing going. We're just going to kind of jump around. We have some ideas here. No House of Pain is not on the show. We can't afford them just yet. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we do have two guests here on the show today. Ladies and gentlemen, we have, first off, my buddy Jesse. Jesse, how's it going?
Not too bad. How's everybody doing today? I'm happy to be here. Excited to talk wrestling, man.
Fantastic. And then, of course, we have someone who has been mentioned on this show more times than I think even Spot Monkey for his now more famously coined line, which we'll have him say a little bit later on the show. Everyone, Mark is here. Mark, how you doing this afternoon?
Oh, fantastic. Ready to talk some wrestling, because what you gonna do, brother?
Thank God Hogan needs the money. Because,
You know,
thank God Hogan doesn't... Thank God he wasn't smart of the trademark.
I was trying to find a level quote, and I can't remember where it's... I hear it on the radio all the time. It's like, hello, Mark. And I hear it on show. I'm like, God, I couldn't find it. Because that would have been really fun to do that.
All right, so Leroy...
we're going to jump around today?
Yep.
Okay.
We are going to start right where I think you have it here. Most recently, we had a pay-per-view. It was the horror show at Extreme Rules. Let me just start out by saying this, ladies and gentlemen. This was a pay-per-view that I saw everything from nice to this was one of the biggest piles of dung I ever saw in my life, which, again, I need people to understand. There was a lot of cinematicness to this, but when you can't really risk losing anyone at this point due to pandemics, you know, restrictions,
or a body part,
cinematic was the only way to go. And so when you think about where they were with the two cinematic matches, which was the Eye for the Eye, which we'll get to, and then the Swamp Fight, first of all, what did you people think the Swamp Fight was going to be? Because... I'm not going to say that now. We're going to go match by match. We're going to figure things out. Leroy, Leroy, as normal, you have the times of the matches and you have everything down.
Yeah.
This week, why don't you just go ahead and read off for me here, and then I'll give you a quick recap.
All right. First match was the beginning. Kevin Owens against Murphy.
Was this on the pre-show, by the way?
Yeah, this was pre-show.
This was a pre-show match? Okay,
yep.
So...
Stun Owens, stun.
So we have Kevin Owens, who is back from his family issue. I believe his grandfather passed away during the pandemic. He's back. He's been just fine. He also fractured his ankle jumping off of the WrestleMania sign.
Yeah, so
to take out Seth Rollins. He's facing our buddy, Mr. Murphy.
And he beat him up.
And he beat the crap out of him for about 9 minutes. It's a typical Kevin's Owens. Okay, you know, it's interesting. We're going to talk about this a little later on the show for a different version of Monkeys. Kevin Owens is a brawler, but he's actually somewhat trained at it. He kind of knows what he's doing when he brawls. It's not just throw haymakers. He kind of... I mean, I like Kevin Owens. I feel like Kevin Owens is one of those indie guys that actually decided, I'm going to get good at my craft.
Yeah.
I wish he would get more of a push, honestly. He's been one of my favorite wrestlers to watch. He's entertaining. He's got great mic skills.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's funny. And with the good guy heel that he is to me, I think that funny.
It's the tweener idea, basically. It's like Kevin Owens at this point, I feel like, is the guy that... Okay, first of all, to the staged crowd in the Performance Center, they're going to boo and cheer who they're told to. I don't have an issue with that. These are all young prospects who need to learn how the business works anyway. But here's the deal. Kevin Owens is that kind of guy where, I think, to a real crowd, if he does something, the crowd doesn't care. Because, I mean, like, you remember when Taker used to, like, come to the ring, clear the ring, he'd chokeslam a babyface, and the fans were just like, okay, it's Undertaker. You know, he's going to do what he wants. We're not going to question it. But anyway, nothing overly special. I think it's trying to fit another guy into the Monday Night Messiah situation, since Ray will probably be gone for a little bit, although there is reports Ray is close to signing a new deal with WWE.
Yeah,
I think right now he's been going contract by contract.
I did
Isn't
see
he
that.
just staying for the kid?
No. Well,
for
no.
his son?
Yeah.
He wants to get him into the business.
We'll get, okay, hold on a second. We'll actually talk about that when we get to the Eye for an Eye, but let's go ahead here. Leroy, what else was after that?
All right.
Was that the
we
tables
got,
match?
yeah, that was the first one that came out was Cesario.
Okay.
Was it?
Cesaro, the Swiss Superman.
Samoa submission machine, whatever we
The
call
Samoan
it.
submission machine was at ringside.
Yeah. And Shinsuke and Nakamura was there, and they went against the New Day with Big E and Kofi. And for the titles
Yep.
in a tables match.
I definitely think
We got new champions out of that
I
one.
definitely think this is an example of WWE is trying to get New Day to the Dudley's record as fast as possible.
Possibly, but you know what? Before we even discuss that, I have to say,
Yeah.
this actually might have been one of the best matches on the card.
This was
incredible to watch.
Okay, so as someone who watched a lot of, and people can call it garbage wrestling, but saw tables matches where guys actually knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
ECW, this is probably one of the best tables matches I've seen in probably 10 years.
But you're talking about 4 of probably WWE's best workers in the ring.
Shinsuke Nakamura, in my opinion,
He's not what he used to be, of course.
But again, Shinsuke looked so different in Japan because remember, he was the only guy doing theatrical stuff in Japan,
Yeah.
so that's why he got over. Now he's here against everyone's got a gimmick, so Shinsuke kind of becomes part of the fold, I guess is the best way to say
Kind
it.
of almost blends back in.
What I wish they do, and actually they're doing it more with Shinsuke now, but he's still trying to speak English. What I think they need to do with Shinsuke though is let him pull a Asuka, just let him speak Japanese.
Yeah.
I agree.
He's got more. His facial expressions have more charisma than 90% of his roster.
Absolutely.
It's insane. Where Tegan Nox fails with her facial expressions, Shinsuke Nakamura just takes another level.
See, I think most of his facial expressions, I think he's crop dusting everyone.
He probably is.
He just he was very the way he was doing stuff on Friday night.
Yeah.
When they were doing the little shoot there. I mean
Yeah.
that was great, and I loved him during that one.
This week's SmackDown was pretty good too.
No. I mean, really well done. Rumors have it that Daniel Bryan's writing for the SmackDown writers right now, and Edge is writing for Raw while he's hurt. That's a recent report.
That makes sense.
Which would be great because, in my opinion, I always thought while Edge was at home, why not just make him a writer from his house? He could email you his ideas. Again, we talked about this earlier on past episodes. I've never viewed Edge as one of the greatest competitors of all time, but the dude had a mind for the business. He thought his stuff through, maybe to the point where it was teetering on the brink of too overthought to perfect. But I mean, like, he had some moments where, and you know, John Cena said it best about Edge. I've never seen Edge have a bad match, but Edge understood the idea of what the match had to be, the layout, something Spot Monkey could desperately use. Funny story.
They need a lot more than just that.
Funny story, actually. During the second Edge documentary that just came out, the WWE 24, there was actually never an idea. Edge put this to bed, which is why I hate rumor mills now, because every rumor that I've heard that was like so controversial in the last 3 years, every time I see a documentary, the own wrestler shuts it down. Taker with being mad at Goldberg. Taker wasn't mad at Goldberg for what happened in Saudi Arabia. Taker said it happens. This is how the business works. Brock, and Taker backstage. Taker being mad about Brock taking it. Taker fell on the sword and didn't care. I mean, it was what it was. But anyway, no, the rumor of Edge going to AEW, he was contacted, but Edge never really thought it through. There was never even actually really this thing that was going to happen. And, you know, truth be told, again, I don't understand why you would contact Edge, because here's the deal. WWE barely knew if he was going to have a chance. Why would you go out and get a guy that you know you can't do anything physical with? You can't touch, or else he'll be paralyzed, and then you're screwed, because I guarantee Tony Khan, despite how much money he's paying guys like Orange Cassidy, he's not forking over health insurance.
Because past WWE superstar, I think, that probably is alive, probably called him and said, "Hey,
everyone over 40.
You want to make some money?"
Everyone over 40.
Uh-huh.
If you're over 50 and you know the Rhodes family, AEW's got a contract waiting for you.
And you know, I'm pretty sure they probably tried to call the original guys that. And I mean, Arn Anderson. I mean, he keeps going to the ring as a man.
We'll get back to that. No, coach.
Don't worry, we
Anyway,
talk about
we'll get back to it. We'll get back to it.
All right.
All right. What else we got there, Leroy?
Yeah, we're gonna still talk about good things right
Okay,
now.
yeah, good things.
That I can keep my food down.
Okay, so now Leroy is going to tell us about who I think have become the MVPs of the pandemic. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Leroy.
that is Bayley, the SmackDown Women Champion, with Sasha, of course.
Yeah.
And against Nikki Cross with Alexa Bliss.
They gave Nikki an out with the whole punch to the to the stomach.
They did, yep.
She played up the rib injury, which I thought was really good.
Was really good.
Well done. Sadly, everyone knows that no one sells anything anymore, so I give Nikki credit for even wearing the tape.
Especially if they're doing with Seth
great.
Rollins, you know.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing about it is that, again, why take the belt Allison was actually turned off of pretty much the rest of the pay-per-view because of the result of this, because we all know how much she doesn't like Sasha and Bayley. But why take the belt off Bayley when right now, love them or hate them, they're the most entertaining thing going?
They are the best thing going on.
they
And
do
all,
drive-
all three
I really
brands
don't
really.
like
They
like
drive me
listening to
nuts.
Sasha talk though.
Sasha to me, and hold on, I don't want to get into a Sammy Guevara situation with Sasha Banks, because that was the dumbest thing I've ever seen anybody do in the wrestling business. But here's the deal. She has decided, and I don't know if it's... Which is weird because her husband's a seamstress for WWE. Her outfits, when she's not in wrestling gear, she's been weird. And it's not even wearing less and less and less. It's getting weirder and odder and stranger. It's almost like she's trying to do a red carpet event, and I just don't know what she does. It's like, can you just put on a pair of jeans and a shirt?
Well, no, they're
What's
always,
wrong with
they're
not
always
having
pursuing
that?
their modeling careers too. That it's all about the gram.
And
It's all about the gram.
That's fair. But anyway, Nikki, I think has gone back to when she wrestled with Sanity. Done a really good job there. I like that they're featuring Nikki, because even though Bayley had said before the match, obviously, I beat everyone on the roster, she hadn't really beaten Nikki yet. I mean, yeah, tag team situations, yada yada. But
I think in those she had technically pinned Alexa. So
I mean, it's weird. It almost seems like, especially what happened on SmackDown, I think maybe Alexa Bliss is going to go in a different direction soon with Nikki, but I don't feel like... Look, I don't feel like breaking up people right now is a good idea, because you have some consistent stories, but if Alexa... I'll talk about this in a little bit, but if Alexa ends up going into the Wyatt storyline, I'm okay with it, but no.
Do you really think they're going to continue with that?
I'll talk about that during the Swamp fight here, but anyway, no.
That's like a silent fantasy of Zach's right there. Sorry.
Have you seen her?
I'm about to say,
Have you seen her?
if you've seen the match and you've seen her, you're
Anyway,
like, okay.
all right.
I was actually talking about this earlier. Yeah, she's she captivates the audience with the pearly whites. So we'll just say that.
Nothing wrong with it. Anyway, no. So
Speaking of a wrestler, though,
no.
She's good.
No.
I don't like her.
I gotta have to
Here's
have
the
a
deal.
note, Mark. It's
Here's the-
compared to the rest of the roster, she kind of.
But remember,
you'll
Alexa
see
has
her.
always worked heelish.
True.
So she doesn't have to have the high flying ability stuff.
Well, it's not
because
even
she's
that.
trying-
It's even her heel stuff is it was mostly beat down, which was fine. But
It's
you
also
could
the
tell that
injury
she's-
problems that
True.
she's had.
A lot of
Obviously,
Yeah.
they're afraid of that.
Yeah.
And by the way, another rumor to strike down, making them work without it. Alexa's mother, who is an RN, by the way, was actually overly impressed at how WWE took care of her daughter when she had the concussion. So if an RN gives you an A+, forget the reports that you don't care about people's health. Like, that's over with.
Yeah, they
but no,
do care.
Bayley needs to stay with the belt. I know that Allison still thinks it's devaluing the title, but the problem is that right now, I don't really think you have someone that can end such a reign that would make sense. This is like Taker versus Brock. Brock made sense because and I'll say it till I'm blue in the face in the show. If Brock doesn't beat Taker, who's ever going to be realistic enough to beat The Undertaker? But who's realistic enough to beat Bayley right now?
I think in
Honest
Vince's,
truth.
I think in Vince's head, to quote your Taker thing, I think in Vince's head, he probably really wanted it to be Roman Reigns.
No.
Rhea Ripley.
Okay.
Hey, man, this is
okay.
her
No,
brutality.
I don't know about Rhea.
Here's my problem with Rhea, and it's interesting that you brought that up, Mark. And I've actually been worried about Rhea Ripley from, I would say, Survivor Series on. And even though she's been the hottest she's been since Survivor Series, I mean, almost white hot, I must say. I mean, she's been fabulous. My biggest problem is she's fallen into Johnny Gargano syndrome. You are so enamored with the letters NXT that I don't see you believably going to another brand and trying to make a name for yourself unless you're still on NXT. She is so enamored with NXT, I think you would have to almost literally do something that makes her seem like nothing. You literally have to cut Rhea Ripley at the freaking knees in order to get her from the NXT locker room.
That kind of makes sense. Her looks like with the yellow brand, it's just kind of.
You know what though? To be fair, I mean, well, with Johnny,
fair.
that's just Johnny trying to be safe.
I've actually
And
never
Johnny,
seen Johnny.
I think Johnny isn't Johnny close to his 40s now
No.
or something like that.
No, actually, Johnny Gargano's somewhere in his 30s.
Okay.
Johnny's fine. Johnny's got a lot more to go.
But with Rhea,
Tommaso's the old guy.
well, yeah, Tommaso's
Tommaso's
the
like
older.
35. So,
But with
Yeah, he is
Tommaso's,
the old guy.
but Tommaso's the GOAT of NXT. He's never going to leave. He's already said he's not going to leave.
With Rhea though, I would get the fear of moving up to the main room. I mean, she's just experienced it at
I
WrestleMania.
don't see fear because here's the deal. Rhea Ripley walks in day one, and Vince looks at her and says, I may not think you're Charlotte, but I look at you and there's no other way for me to present you other than being a star. I'm sorry, Rhea Ripley is the only. And here's what Leroy and I have been talking about, and it's been a little controversial to some of our listeners, I would say, is everybody talked about how the NXT women's division is the best women's division, top to bottom. After Rhea, Io, it's kind of just women. I say that out of respect in the fact that they kind of all do the same thing. Dakota Kai has a little bit of martial arts. Raquel Gonzalez, has not been presented as a Rhea Ripley yet, although I think she has the size, strength, and
She has
power.
potential.
Aaliyah has been presented as a not even mid card but lower card thing. There's a new Robert Stone signing, by the way.
Mercedes Martinez.
Mercedes Martinez.
Actually, very excited.
However, Mercedes Martinez has said, and I would believe the way they've presented Robbie E so far as Robert Stone, she said, I don't want you out there. I don't want you to give me pep talks. You sign the contract. You make sure I'm making money, and I'll take care of hurting people.
I get a feeling they're going to probably do a lot of almost a lighter version of Brock and Paul when it comes to those two, possibly.
No, because
Paul really doesn't interfere in the matches, and then technically when Paul will cut the promos for Brock, it's more of my client.
But the difference is that Mercedes Martinez is already so much more experienced. She has more experience combined than Aaliyah and Robbie E have.
That's very true.
So
That's
I
very true.
don't think Martinez needs
She doesn't need
a
a
manager,
speaker.
but I think it helps keep the Robert Stone brand alive. I think it helps keep it relevant in NXT because it is one of those backstage segments that is still legitimately making people watch.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying it's helping the ratings war, but it's something that you look for in NXT is the Robert Stone situation.
But yeah, back to because we got off. But back to Bailey and the Bailey.
We do that a
I
lot.
don't. I do not. I didn't think. And I know I saw people got mad that they didn't put the belt on Nikki. But I agree. I don't think it's the right time. One, it's not the right time. And two, Bailey and Sasha really have been the hottest thing right now, and one of the best things to watch during this era of WWE.
Yeah,
they've been very entertaining.
Gene said it best in the lounge, and he said this is the first example in a long time of grabbing the brass ring.
That's true.
Because they have.
So what would you say in the women's division total between SmackDown, Raw, and NXT? Probably about 30 win.
I would say close to that. Yeah.
Why is there only 3 belts? Why is there not like an Intercontinental belt for the women?
Well, because again,
or
hold on,
or like a TV title.
Okay,
or something like they used to do.
Okay, we talked about this when we had our minority episode. Women's wrestling is still a niche, and we'll talk about that a little bit later when it comes to Spot Monkey. But I think, but see now, Mark, hold on. But
if you book it, they will watch.
Which is fair, but now, Mark,
Maybe.
doesn't that kind of put you in a catch-22 situation that a lot of people complain about on the main roster? Is that there's too many belts? Don't you think maybe you devalue one of the belts if someone's got a mid-card belt?
For the men, yes, because they don't seem to utilize a couple of those belts. But with the women, there's enough matches where they could actually make another because you could have your superstars or like a heavyweight belt or a light heavyweight belt, so you can. Like when you have the Nia Jaxes and stuff like that, the girls that are just going to dominate you, that can actually go wrestle with the boys, and it looks real.
They could use, but also they could use the tag team belts as kind of another one too. Instead of having it on Sasha Bailey, have it somebody that is up and coming, and have it on them so they can highlight them.
But you do have a scenario right now
shows
where you had some women you were trying to build. A lot of them got cut when NXT had their changes. Again, I don't know how Deonna Purrazzo is all of a sudden the Impact champion. I didn't know who you were until NXT put you on TV twice.
I mean, I knew
Yep.
who she was,
I
but
want to know
I
how
think that was
AEW
more
lost all
NXT.
those people to
Impact. That yeah, I'm
It's
about
like,
to say
they
that's-
don't have a TV contract or nothing. It's just on the internet, and they're like, "Yeah, we're going over there."
Because-
screw you, TV people.
because
they're
we'll
better.
talk about that a little
Well,
bit later. We'll talk about it a little later, but in my
I'm not denying
opinion,
that one.
in my opinion, going back to the fact that Gallows and Anderson are now signed to Impact, but they can go work New Japan.
The Good Brothers.
Even though Gallows and Anderson have a bunch of friends in AEW, you can't tell me that they wouldn't just be gimmicked out like everybody else at Spot Monkey. I think they're better off in Impact than they are anywhere else because Impact's not going to make you that comedy ridden.
No, and they actually know how to write stories over there.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Okay, so anyway, so Bayley and Sasha versus Nikki. Bayley won. What else? And next came the first match of the night that was
Kind of
cinematic.
yeah.
Happened a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit here and there.
The Monday Night
Messiah.
Messiah, Seth Rollins,
The one gloved dude.
and Rey Mysterio, eye for an eye. Unfortunately,
I
Rey
wish
lost.
the only thing I have to say about this, I wish they would have shown that photo that's now circulating on the internet of Ray's eye actually somewhat popping out. If you had shown that
Yeah.
on camera, I feel like you would have gotten a better rating. from
But
people.
I'll be honest. I'm kind of happy they didn't because they were entering. What was his name? He used to be in the Wyatt family, and then they had this stupid spider in the cage. You remember that?
Rowan.
It was
Rowan,
getting
Rowan.
real close to that when
Yeah.
when I saw the photo, I'm like, well, that's clearly fake.
Well, they killed it then. No
Yeah.
Drew McIntyre killed it. But anyway, here's my thoughts on this, and I don't want to spend too much time on this because
Yeah.
I don't like to analyze and pick on matches that did what they were supposed to
Exactly.
do. You had two good workers. They were angry at each other. There was pent-up frustration. It was a little gimmicky with the pliers, but again, you kind of have to make it look that way. You have to go the extra mile because of pandemic situations. This match didn't bother me at all because you had two guys who actually went out there and successfully did what they were supposed to do.
Yeah.
The only disappointment in that for me is you have two of the best in-ring performers, new and old school performers.
Right.
They could have put on a ridiculous match that would have probably stole the whole.
But this is the farthest I think Seth has gone into a gimmick where even when he was the champion, he was still trying to show he's better than everyone. So that's why he still did some of the crazy shit that he's doing. But this is the closest Seth has come to. You get an occasional moment where he's Seth Rollins, Tyler Black, but he's now slowed down to heel-like moments.
They need to push it and put a crown of thorns on Seth. Like I think they need to push it to King of the Ring and have him win the King of the Ring.
Oh, that would
and
be
the Crown
pretty
of
cool.
And
Thorns.
what a way!
Trademarking that WWE if you're listening.
Oh, yeah.
And what
If
a
they are
way,
listening, I'd be
what
impressed.
a way to keep Seth relevant and
Yes.
hold on a second, and keep Becky out.
Just think how much that would push the envelope too, because they're making him the king,
Yeah.
and he's already playing the godlike role there, and just to jab at a religion, that's going to get so much ratings and so much push outside of the
Right,
media
right,
that's
right.
And we
ever
know
been
Vince is
there.
not scared to do it, aka
No.
Vince versus God.
And I do love the on SmackDown, the 4 out of 5 Seth Rollins puke. I thought that was very. I love.
Give Miz and Morrison credit.
Oh,
They took
definitely.
something. They
Oh
run
my
with it.
God.
It's brilliant.
Hey,
Ho
Ho,
ho.
ho.
The
They
only
only-
two guys. The
I
only
don't
two
know.
guys that I don't care how good John Morrison actually is in ring. His ability to just talk is perfect. He's a snotty looking dude who you know is better than you, but he's so snotty about it that it's funny, but you don't feel he's being buried. Because here's the deal. Has anyone heard anything about them saying, oh, John Morrison came back and now he's gimmicked out with The Miz? No one has said shit about that.
No, when you do the gimmick well, no one's going to say
No.
Exactly.
That's-
I just hope they don't use Drippy Drip anymore because that just is like his worst nickname.
Johnny Drip Drip? Yeah.
That's like, I feel like all of a sudden
But here's
somebody's
the
gonna
deal.
crack
Here's
up
the
some
deal. Here's the
74
deal.
music.
You
or
have
something,
done
so.
something that, let's be honest, rap is obviously, Jesse, as you know, an African American thing, but you've done it to a point. You've done it to a point where it's not racist.
No, well, it was I thought the video was really fun.
And they shot it really well. I'm
Yes,
not
they
gonna lie.
did. And
I'm
then
just throwing it out there. Vanilla Ice is the greatest.
Mark
Word
wants
to
do
your
an episode
mother.
of Versus and just get stabbed.
Yeah, that's all I gotta say. Word to your mother.
Oh my god!
But like you were saying,
careful,
this match was.
Kick it one time.
Careful, boys! You might have Queen coming out after you for
Okay,
copyright.
we're not using that. God rest his soul, both of them, David Bowie and Joe and
But yeah,
Freddie
this
Mercury.
match-
There's other guys in Queen, Leroy.
I know, but
There's
they
three
made
dudes
this.
still
They
alive
made
in
the
Queen.
song. It's all right. I'm not gonna. Yeah, I would not step on their toes.
So yeah,
Anyway,
on this match before we get off of it, yeah, like you were saying, excellent match. I was happy they didn't show it because it was kind of a shock to me how they decided to film it. I actually did like how they filmed it, where it was Seth who realized what he had done, was completely disgusted.
I love that Seth has taken that and then he did the promo on Monday about you people are the reason I'm doing this because you didn't like what I was doing. Because remember, Seth tried his best to come off as what he thought they wanted, and then once again he gave them what they wanted, and then they didn't want it. Typical fickle crowd, and you get what you want, but then all of a sudden. Because let's be honest, when he was Universal Champion, the most entertaining part about his run was when his fiance was there.
Well, I think, and like I said, I think the worst
Becky carried half.
The worst thing that happened to Seth really was the Fiend. It truly was. They should have never done that match.
No.
That,
They
to
should
me,
have
that
never
was.
let Dean Ambrose go. That's the
Well,
worst thing that's happened.
No.
He was the comedic side. Too.
But you have to
let
remember.
him do
But
his
you have to
A-hole
remember.
stuff.
Dean wanted to leave.
Well, I know.
There was nothing they could do. I'll explain that later during something that Leroy's going to be very excited to tell you all about. But anyway, moving on. Asuka, this is the match that the ending stole the show.
Unfortunately.
The ending stole the show, and here's the deal. I'm actually going to allow the ending because, again, the only thing that Sasha and Bayley are supposed to be are annoying. That's the point here.
And do it well.
And by the way, is there any better out?
He got halfway to saying what this match is, and then he went on to Asuka and Sasha, so everybody understands what we're talking about.
Yes.
Their match.
I said it.
I just heard Asuka. I didn't hear Sasha.
I was going to get to it though. But,
Oh, okay. All right.
But no, this was competitive for I think as long as it needed to be. And then it turned into the Sasha Bayley show, which is technically what it is right now. You gave Asuka an out that I don't think made Asuka look bad.
Because to be fair, since she's been given the belt since Becky left, it has been hard to watch her championship run.
Well, but there's no competition for Asuka.
But
Charlotte's gone, surgery.
well, if that's the case, then why hasn't she been booked stronger as a champion? Which has been the problem.
Because I'm going to be honest, this goes back to my conversation where I don't think the women's division is as good as they think it is. And first of all, Io Shirai doesn't make sense because they were friends in Japan. That doesn't make sense. You're not letting Sasha be the blueprint. You're letting you're asking her to be the annoying person. So Sasha's not going to put on the 5-star quality matches that we know she can do. So in my opinion, you had to get Asuka out of this with an out that almost seemed too odd. You had to make it weird because that's how you get Asuka out of that match and still be able to push a longer story. Also, Kairi obviously still had a few more tapings to go through. So
Yeah.
But yeah, this to me has been her best feud so far because after Nia and of course Charlotte.
Nia wasn't much of a feud.
Exactly. Well, I know exactly.
Nia was never beating Asuka.
That was a bump in the road.
Never believed it.
But otherwise, her championship run before Bayley and Sasha to me has just. I'm like, why? To me, one of the best performers in the world.
Well, but think about who's not there.
Soft.
Well, but think about who's not on Raw. Charlotte's gone. Becky's gone. Shayna Baszler, which, by the way, another report that Vince had lost interest. Shayna came back, and it was reported she just left because creative had nothing for her because it was supposed to be the Becky segment. It was supposed to be Shayna versus Becky. Becky obviously left, which, again, she had every right to do. Nothing wrong with that. But the thing is that Shayna didn't fall out of praise with anybody. It wasn't because she doesn't look like Charlotte. It wasn't because Vince lost interest. It's because creative lost the only thing they had for her.
Hate me or not, but I'm not missing Charlotte at all.
Which is, which is perfectly fair.
That's all right.
Yeah, but
My little girl loves Charlotte.
yeah.
Like I said, I understand the appeal to her, but to me, it's literally just looking at a less talented Ric Flair with female.
I think she,
actors.
and I was actually talking to Mark on the way, to do the show with you guys. I think Charlotte's starting to have. she was starting to have the Roman Reigns effect because she was on the Flair. And listen, she's a great wrestler, an excellent storyteller.
I'm not dogging her physical.
No. But it's just like okay, you're always here. You're always in a championship.
Well, but to be
match.
fair, Charlotte kind of had during the beginning of this quarantine pandemic. We all didn't know if it was going to be two. Okay, by the way, we're about 6 months into 2 weeks and it's over. We're 6 months into that. So at the beginning of the whole time,
we don't need no stinking scientists,
right? But anyway,
It's true, eh?
but anyway, Leroy.
I disagree with that scientist.
Right? but no, Leroy. I think you said this. She's working all 3 shows because at the time she was kind of the only star talent they had, and again they didn't know that they were going to need more.
True.
Yeah.
No, I mean she's a
true.
workhorse, and I just personally.
Well, but you felt that way when she was in NXT. You felt that way back at the beginning. So that's
Why are you such a Flair hater?
Oh
my God! No.
See,
to be fair to Mark, it's sometimes even as
Oh,
a
yeah.
Flair fan, it's not hard.
but I will tell you, I will watch every Ric Flair match before I will watch a current match of hers again. I love Rick.
Right.
Rick is amazing.
okay. So anyway, we all agree.
Off topic.
Yeah, we all agree. Not really, but we all agree. Asuka got an out, a
Yes,
very good
absolutely.
one. It set up and by the way, it set up a match to where now I think we're gonna get Asuka versus Bayley solely because remember the match is literally no champion's advantage because as Stephanie pointed out, there is no champion.
Asuka versus Sasha, you mean?
Yes, the belt is vacant technically, so if you lose the match in any way, you're not the champ. There's no champion's advantage. Sasha may think she's the champ, but it's been made clear by the authority there is no champion because whoever wins the match, regardless of how you win it, you're the champ.
By the way, before we go ahead and move on to the next match,
Yeah.
I did find it funny that they put Stephanie up there to do that because of the out. And I'm like, didn't 7 months ago you guys said no more authority figures?
No.
And which, by
No,
the
no,
way,
no.
has sometimes, which I was happy with, but I'm like,
No.
it almost feels like the show's missed GMs now.
But you also have to remember. They took away the on-screen authority, but everyone knows that she still owns 3/4 of the company.
But
Everyone knows that
everyone
Vince is still in
knows
charge.
Vince makes the matches and all that. But I just thought it funny because I'm like, anytime now I see a
They just
authority
wanted them to
figure
go
say
away
something.
from television.
Well, they have to put a McMahon's face on at least once a month, otherwise I think the shareholders get an extra bonus or something.
That's fair. That's
Yeah,
fair.
something like that. I suppose.
So anyway,
All right.
moving on to my favorite match of the night, because again, this is the brilliance of not McIntyre. To me, this is the brilliance of Ziggler. Give me a second before we get to the match. The guy faced Kofi very shortly during Kofi's run, but it was a believable run. It was a believable match. They had a lot of heat in a short period of time for Kofi's run. Ziggler, in my opinion, he is the best seller overall. The business they have on that company, not just in ring, but he somehow makes you care about a match on a week's notice.
Oh yeah, no, he's always been the guy
He's like McGregor.
I've never liked where his storylines have gone because the poor me thing and
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Yeah.
But his in-ring performance and what he does for everyone to sell things and all their moves. I mean, like Drew's power moves that he did to him, it was the most sold I've ever seen. He looked the strongest he's ever looked in any
And
match
that's the
he's done.
thing is Ziggler came out. He had a believable story. It wasn't like some comedy writer wrote some BS in there. It made sense. It was a callback, which they don't do enough of anymore. Things happen and then they just die and people forget they ever happened.
Stuff just happens.
But it's just Ziggler can talk his ass off. He can talk his way out of a paper bag, even if it's dry as a bone, not even wet. But it's like he made me care about this on a week's notice. And by the way, I said this the second Ziggler was given the opportunity to stipulation because they ended the show without a stipulation. I said this to Allison, and I quote, and she'll confirm this. He ain't gonna say nothing until the bell rings. He ain't gonna say nothing until right before the bell rings. And they went with it. It was brilliantly done. And by the way, they kind of pulled a Vince Russo in TNA where they came up with rules where you need a dictionary to explain it, but but you didn't have Jim Cornette to try to explain Vince Russo, so you had to make Dolph make this make sense. But here's the deal: it was brilliant. hardcore rules only for me, which we've seen before. Take away Champion's Advantage, which we've seen before. But to put them together
It was brilliant.
was amazing. And going back to what Mark said, it made Drew look stronger because he overcame something that wasn't gimmicky. It made sense.
It basically gave Ziggler all the advantages to
How
win
do
the
you
championship.
lose that? That's the thing.
And that
So Samoa Joe said it. How do you lose that
when you
match?
get all the advantages.
The way
it
is
makes-
Ziggler's character. He's just cocky.
Yeah.
So that's how you lose a match like that when it's all yours because you don't think, and that's why it's perfect that you lost that match because
Yeah.
it's always been so cocky. It's always been
Yeah.
always about.
Well,
him,
I think
no
you get
matter-
kicked in the face. That's kind of hard.
And
Not
that's
to
the
win
thing.
there.
And that's the thing. That's the thing. To kick out of the zigzag, I think it was twice. It made
Yeah.
McIntyre look strong, but then because the Claymore has been so protected outside of Roman's spear, because remember, Roman would spear, but they'd still kick out. No one's kicked out of the Claymore.
No, he won't let anyone either.
No. So
Which is good because I mean,
Well,
the big guys need to get their power.
this
back.
is the best they've booked their world champion
Yes.
in a long time.
Yes.
Agree. Well, I mean, think about it. You know, it's nothing against Brock because when he's in ring, he's amazing.
Well, Brock's first run after he beat Taker, I think, was booked well, but then he had some weird stuff with the Universal title.
But it's usually whoever has the top titles. You don't see him, but maybe once every 3 pay-per-views is how it's been. But Drew's like been every match, every
Fighting
Drew-
champion.
Drew is believable. He's real. He finally grew into a body that makes sense for a guy his size. He seemed like Edge. Okay, so Edge comes back after the neck injury. He is in the best shape he's ever been in his career. But Edge was never a guy that made the pecs pop out. He never had a 6-pack.
Yeah.
He just worked out to the point that he could get cardio and go out to the ring, and then he did his thing. Drew looks like he should look. He looks like William Wallace.
He looks like the Scottish Terminator, which is what he's been called. Like,
It's the first time in a while. And by the way, shocked that Vince was able to get him back at this point in his career, but I don't think anybody else would have done well with him because Impact he was done with, no indie was going to use this, and AEW, they can't be serious enough for what Drew wants out of this business.
AEW could ruin the image of Hulk Hogan, Sting, Macho Man.
They don't want
Randy
Hulk
Savage.
Hogan, though.
No, but they could ruin that
Well,
image.
he's too old.
He's banned,
Well,
Mark. Didn't you hear?
Hulk
Hulk Hogan and his ex-wife
Oh, yes.
Linda have both been banned from AEW events by Tony Khan. And guess what? Jim Cornette even said, and I quote, "If you're smart enough at all in the wrestling business, how would you not want to book the biggest name the business has probably ever had in the mainstream?"
No, if you can get Hulk Hogan on your show,
You get Hulk Hogan on
you
your
win
show.
at wrestling. That's how
It doesn't
goes.
matter.
yeah.
It doesn't matter what Hulk Hogan said about black people. It doesn't matter what Hulk Hogan said.
I was about to say Hulk
No,
Hogan
it-
has ruined his own.
But it
it
doesn't
wasn't-
matter about that. He's still bigger than anybody in Spot
That's
Monkey.
true.
But the funniest is it
I
wasn't
don't see
something
anything
that he
there.
said. It was something that his ex-wife
That
said.
was the thing. That's the thing.
That's the sad part.
You banned the biggest man in the history of wrestling because his ex-wife had something to say about you. Are you flipping kidding me?
But they didn't ban his daughter or his son.
Brooke's still allowed to go. Nick's still allowed to go.
Brooke looks pretty good. Put her on there. So. that-
Brooke didn't have talent when she was on SmackDown.
Yeah,
Well,
no,
just
No,
show
no.
Impact, you mean?
Impact.
Impact. Yeah,
Terrible.
she was never on there.
I apologize to SmackDown.
But do not do that to
the only
SmackDown.
Hogan that's ever had any wrestling talent is Mr. Terry there.
Right. All right.
We'll leave it
So
to
anyway,
Call him guys.
moving
We're gonna
on.
get to the
Moving on to
final match of the night.
Again, this is the match that there's either people on the left who hated every goddamn second of it, or there's people on the right that said, okay, it made sense. The Swamp Fight. Wyatt versus Bray. Go ahead, Leroy, your thoughts.
I loved it. I thought it was great. I mean, they did a great story from their beginning together all the way up till now. I mean, I watched it with my kids.
Bray Wyatt can talk for
Oh,
days.
God, he can.
I
Brilliant.
don't understand.
But-
okay,
So brilliant.
they always talk about guys. Okay, Mark Hamill does the voice of my favorite version of the Joker, which is why Mark Hamill to me is actually the third greatest Joker because
Yes.
just by voice acting, he's made a character so well for me.
Which
Top two, you mean?
which animated show was did he do?
Because he did the original
did a
Batman
lot of
animated
them.
series in the 90s.
He did the Killing Joke.
Yep.
He did the Batman the Animated Series. He did the video game Arkham Knight. Was it Arkham
I think
Knight?
it was Arkham Knight.
He
It
did
was
Arkham.
Knight.
He did all
Yeah,
the
So
Arkhams.
anyway, Mark Hamill to me is the third greatest Joker. I'm not going to get into who my top two are because that's always debatable. He's my third favorite Joker because he ultimately projects. even the guys at DC Comics, these are guys who have written some of the greatest characters of all time. They say this voice comes from somewhere inside of Mark that we don't know where it is. We don't know how he finds it. But that's the thing. That's what I think Bray Wyatt is. Is Bray Wyatt brings out a character from somewhere that I can't even think of.
It's it's amazing when I think about
And it's
Bray.
brilliant every time.
It's to me, I think why I've become. I was always a huge fan of him, but why I really love this reincarnation of him. Since
The
he's
Mr.
come
Rogers character has been funny in the best ways.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Because I think I realized recently I think the reason I love Bray so much is he's almost like our generation, and it's crazy to give him this much praise, but I almost feel like I have to.
Yeah.
He is our generation's Mick Foley. Like to be able to project these different characters in such. Even when he like
flawlessly minded.
That's actually a really good comparison.
because like he
Great
and then
transition.
even with
Can
bad
you
booking,
imagine? Can you imagine the Royal Rumble next year? Mr. Rogers, then the Eater of Worlds, and then the Fiend. Can you imagine that?
That'd be nuts.
And the rabbit would have to come in somewhere.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay. Quick question. Her picture's now on the Wall of Friends. Did he kill the witch?
I think, yeah.
Because the Wall of Friends, she's on there now.
They can never die. He just silenced her for a while.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
No, but anyway, first of all,
Because didn't he kill the rabbit like 4 times?
Sure.
He also
Yeah.
healed him once.
Okay. I have 3 people here, and I'm gonna take a vote. Do you guys want me to address the left or the right side of people that had the pains in the match? Left or right, Jesse?
I would address the left first.
Yes.
Yeah, go for the
You're
left.
all on the left. Okay, so for people that hated it, we're in quarantine. There's only so much you can do. What the hell did you think it was going to be in a swamp fight? Unless, of course, maybe you go with the WWE 2K idea where they put a ring in the middle of a swamp. But the problem is that all you people on the left would have been like, how is this believable? WWE just put a ring or something. So you people were going to hate it no matter what. You didn't want to like this match. If you're on the left.
How would they keep a floaty raft out there? There's too much difference in weight distribution.
But that's what But that's what I'm trying to say. You people on the left.
You were thinking too much on that one.
Yeah,
I don't know.
but here's the
That's me in a nutshell. Wait, no, this is me in a nutshell.
Everyone on the left was always going to hate this match. You were never going to like it, so don't talk about how bad it was because you were never going to be okay with this match. Am I right or wrong?
I think you're absolutely right.
This plays 100% into the fantasy part of the entertainment part of the WWE. It's supposed to be unbelievably believable.
Yeah, and I don't think the Hardys, when they did theirs, they had a ring there at the Hardy compound. But that
was Matt's house.
But that's believable that they would have it there.
At a compound, yeah.
But Bray Wyatt
in
the
a swamp?
No, he's going to have everything possible to scare the poop out of you.
But also, I'd like to talk to the left here for a second and say this. Did you really think the Eater of Worlds was going to win?
Exactly.
Ever since Bray Wyatt came back as Mr. Rogers, that's what I call him, it's always been the same thing.
Beautiful day in the neighborhood.
There we go.
That's a wonderful movie, too.
That's as much as we're allowed to use, by the way.
That's why I cut it off. Because if you don't use a full sentence, they can't copyright.
But here's the deal. Here's the deal. The only person that Bray Wyatt has had a rivalry with since he got to WWE that has been as deep as Braun is Braun. Yeah. So the Fiend, so Bray tries to solve his problems by himself. It doesn't work. The Fiend comes out. It's been that formula since Mr. Rogers' debut. So, but Braun's the only one that has that. Daniel Bryan, you can argue, but yada yada, no one cares. You can argue Daniel Bryan, but Braun is the only one who had a real run with the Eater of Worlds.
Yeah.
That was believable in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
So it would make sense that you would have Braun go through the whole list of things before he got to the Fiend. And for anyone on the internet who asks, well, why are they using Alexa Bliss? Team Little Big, they were friends. If you remember when this whole thing started, there was a gift on a moment of Bliss. It makes more sense than you stop overthinking this.
Can I actually address that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because a much more well-known guy known as Mr. Brian Alvarez. For some reason, that was the one thing that took him out of it. And I'm like, because his argument, which
That got me back in.
I kind of understood his argument, but I'm like, I think anyone who sees it from that perspective completely missed what they were going for.
That got me back in when I saw Alexa Bliss because again, she fits the story.
And by the way, it's not just Team Little Big. It's the fact that anytime they've actually interacted when they've been on the same show, it's always been cordial. There's always been a tease that maybe something's there. There's always been that tease. Like, it's always been there. So when I saw her as the witch, she unveils, I'm like, this is brilliant. And it was also shocking.
It was also better
because I'm because as we kind of,
it was also better than Bray put on a wig, which we almost got by the way.
Let's not even go.
That would have been very. It involves Alexa Bliss. He's in.
No.
It's like a little kid with candy. Oh.
Hold on a second.
There was a theory that she was actually Sister Abigail, anyways.
But that's the thing, Leroy.
I know.
We
I'm
can
just
sit
giving
here,
you crap.
No, it's fine. No. I'm glad you did that because here's the deal. We can sit here and joke about how much we like to look at her. She fit. Once again, you guys are mad at stuff that makes sense. So now we talk about the people that liked it. We all knew The Fiend was coming next.
Yeah.
Technically, nobody won. It ended in what you would expect a horror slasher film to end in a swamp as. It ended Jason Voorhees as in, hello, I'm still here.
Plus, by the way, I'm like, I don't know why you expected the Eater of Worlds to win. There was no championship on the line. This was clearly a middle ground to get us to the final fight with the Fiend at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Like, it was clearly
the
that.
Ninjas should have carried Braun away at some point in time in the match.
We'll get to that in a second.
Well, it did.
You say carry him away. Hold that thought until we get to Spot Monkey because there's something that I don't think you know about what Spot Monkey did, and you're going to be really confused about it. Anyway, so overall...
So normal how we watch it then.
There's nothing normal about what I want you to hold on to. Leroy, overall...
And don't hold on to that.
Leroy, out of 5, what do you give it?
That match?
No. The pay-per-view.
Oh, the pay-per-view?
Yeah.
I give it a 4.5. I mean,
okay.
I think I enjoyed it. The swamp fight, it scared Clara.
It's supposed to.
But she's 5, of course.
Yeah.
And Eben was like me. He was like, yeah, this is awesome. But it scared her a little bit. But
right.
I mean, I think...
Based on our review, Mark...
I'm going solid 4.
Okay.
You know what? Talking with the pay-per-view with you guys, originally when I was on Reddit talking with some guys, I gave it a 3.75, but I'm actually going to give it a 4.25. Okay. Rethinking the show, it was really good.
Here's my problem with people that obviously, as we pointed out, we're never going to like at the beginning. First of all, you watched. Number one, you watched it. Shut up.
This was overcooked, so you had to eat the whole thing before you told me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Number 2, I'm sorry that you are the people who are so instant gratification that you hate the fact that WWE is going to take off a pay-per-view to tell you a story that's going to be continuing.
There's no whipped cream. I get that for free, right?
And to be fair,
and just to let you know, listeners, if you know, you know.
That's what she said too.
I think a lot of these matches were basically.
And your mother listens to this show.
No, she only listens to the first minute because she's afraid of what you're gonna swear when it comes out, all right?
That's fair.
That's what she told me. That's what my mom told me.
He'll do the same thing, but his mom doesn't get past a minute. She doesn't hear what he says.
What?
You're not Mama's little boy on this show.
I'm her baby. She loves me.
Yeah,
I can't do no wrong.
So now we're gonna move to a topic that I think goes directly after this. Mark, cinematic matches. Does it hurt or help the wrestling shows? Obviously, we all know why they switched to them in the last year, but does it hurt or help? And what's good or bad about it?
Well, I'm old school, so I think it helps because, everyone's really looking for the matches, but without these storylines, the matches don't mean anything. They're all athletes. You can kick and punch and flip and do all this stuff. Of course you can. But if there's not a storyline in there, why even do it? It's entertainment. This isn't real sports. You're not going out there.
785,000 people that watch TNT on Wednesdays might question you on, does the story matter?
Well, see, those people obviously need a lesson in the history of wrestling and how it's supposed to work.
And they should move out of their parents' basement.
if this wasn't a predetermined awesome sport, I could see having the the kicking and the punching and the flipping and all that stuff without
Yeah.
a story, because you're just going to go out there and beat the crap out of each other, like MMA or
Yeah.
boxing
Right.
or the actual martial
Yeah.
arts sports.
Right, fair.
This is a scripted sport.
Yeah.
Right.
So it needs to have the storyline,
Yeah.
because you can't just go out and go, well, they're going to do 6 flips, they're going to do 7 kicks.
Well, Vince always said, I don't want a wrestling company, I want an entertainment
Yeah,
company.
and
But that's where the sport was going.
And see, the WWE does it really, really well. I mean, they have their own movie company, and they put out, even though it's
Titan
like
Entertainment, is that
what
what it's called?
Marine like
Something.
94
Something
and,
like that.
and
Right,
stuff
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. I mean, they keep doing
I don't think they have 94 yet. I think
But-
they're at like 82.
copyright things. I just don't want. I don't want Vince coming after me. He scares me.
Let me tell you something, pal.
But
Stephanie scares me more.
the stories definitely need.
No
to
one's
be
afraid
there.
of Shane, huh?
And
Nah.
if you don't think so, you need to. Well, once again, Spot Monkey just needs to put some storylines into their stuff, and then go to the matches and go. And that's why those two are fighting, because they had this build. There's no build. It's just like
You mean you don't enjoy all of a sudden there's a predetermined match for next week and it's two people who haven't even talked to each other yet on television?
no. I want them backstage. I want someone slapping someone. I
Okay.
want a chair getting thrown out. Throw a pie in the face. Seltzer water. I mean, trip them. Throw.
Find the guy who threw the pie in Kevin Owens' face.
That's what I'm saying.
Find the guy.
We
There
still
you
haven't
go.
found that guy.
Just do something to
I think if they
to
learned
shake
how
the
to
boat.
spell the word storytelling, maybe they would be
I
All
able
right.
cannot
to
wait
do
till
it.
we get to Spot
If they
Monkey
give me
because
$5
I'm going to be
a
in
week,
such the
I'll
minority.
send them scripts.
Okay.
Well, that's all right.
So hold on. Based on that, I actually think that's a good way to go because, in my opinion, I think we all feel the same about cinematic matches. We actually think they can help more.
Yeah,
I
I
think
love
they're
it.
phenomenal.
There have been
especially
some
during this
bad
time.
ideas. I think that Money in the Bank could have been focused more on the ladder match
Yeah.
than the gimmicky stuff. But either that's the lowest point of cinematic matches to me, and I still enjoy
But
it.
having them run through the building for the
It was so good.
It was fun. It was
so
a lot
good.
of fun.
But
I just
you
like
know,
running into Bruce Pritchard. I mean, that was great. In the bathroom.
like the Benny Hill sound that we were playing earlier. Rest in peace to that guy. That guy was awesome.
I love that
But
show.
every time I see highlights of the match where
And
they're
that's the
running
thing.
through,
That's the thing. You can put together a package much better with a cinematic match because then you can cut out the stuff that kind of took away from the idea.
Yeah.
But you need the comedy in it to sort of break down. Because here's the thing. While Spot Monkey tries to do everything comedy ridden, WWE, I'm glad they're not trying to be 100% serious because to me 100% seriousness. See, okay, I can watch a movie. Let's go to Hollywood for a second. Give me a movie that is supposed to come off as everyone's a badass. The Expendables, prime example. They're all action stars. They're all supposed to be in their timelines of their movie franchises. All those guys were the most powerful or best guys in those things. Rocky, all that kind of stuff.
Powerpuff Girls the movie.
There we go.
No.
Yeah,
Chuck
that's
Norris
right.
would take them all down.
Anyway,
I think Chuck Norris is the Powerpuff Girls.
that's fair.
Could be, yeah.
But anyway, going back to what I said, I enjoy a movie that has weird, sarcastic moments that sort of remove you from what you're doing. Because, I mean, every horror film, I know I'm supposed to be scared, but when you have the one character that, like, let's say, okay, prime example. Exactly.
Don't go in the basement. Don't go in the
Yeah,
basement.
exactly.
Why
You're
do they
dead.
all run upstairs?
Because there's beds up there.
Why can't we just get in the running car?
That's logic.
commercial ever.
Anyway, prime example is actually, in my opinion, the first Lord of the Rings. And let me explain why before anyone asks why.
Yeah, you watch your mouth,
Hold on. When they're in the dungeon, okay? When they're in the dungeon and everything's serious, we just found out that the dwarves were
Whips
dead.
and chains and whips and chains.
But anyway,
That's a total different story.
right? But
Wrong dungeon.
no, yeah, exactly. But we don't have the money. We barely have the money for Peter Jackson on the show. How are we gonna get? How are we gonna get the money to put that that movie on the show? Anyway, but here's the deal. So they're in a tomb. Everyone's dead. It was just sad music. Gimli's obviously heartbroken. Next thing you know, you hear the goblins, and then they barricade the door. Boromir's up against the door, and the greatest "I just shit myself" line in the history of movies when they hear the scream is, "They have a cave troll." So it was just meant to be funny in the middle of all this seriousness. I like those.
They have a cave troll.
So
Yep.
I think
I've had one of those.
Uh-huh,
It's scary.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
So I think, in my opinion, cinematic matches. I think we all agree they're better than people think. Yes, people may want their old school wrestling back, but like Mark said, you don't get storytelling if you don't see the beauty in the cinematics.
Well, here's one good point on that too for right now.
Yeah.
Basically, where wrestling is right now is kind of like the early '80s, where everything is pre-taped.
Yeah.
Because that's how it is right now. Because it's the we can't go out and do anything time in
Right.
the world. So no live audience and stuff except for the 7 people they have behind the plexiglass, which I really wish they'd just take away and put fake crowd noise in instead of having the people there.
That's fair.
I think that would be
I don't
better.
know,
we
after
just
the-
have
after
the
greatest
cardboard
match, I'm
cutouts?
sure WWE
Yes.
should do
Playing
that
in
again.
baseball?
But
Like a video
because
game.
of that, right now more than ever, you need the cinematic stuff to it because the matches are you need the crowd there to make all the stuff believable.
Right.
So to make it believable now, the cinematic stuff has to be there to make those storylines and even the matches believable because there's no crowd reaction to it.
And again, I don't think we've done something that is so far out in left field that it takes away from the story.
Absolutely not.
Why can't like the WWE and the AEW, like with the crowd noises, why can't they have their subscribers do like a Zoom conference and everyone just have that broadcasted in there for the noise?
I think AEW's trying that because no joke, the last like 4 shows, every time they go to break, it's on split screen, and JR has to constantly remind people we're giving away 30 prizes tonight, so make sure that you use the hashtag that you see when we go to break, so that you get a chance at a Zoom call with Chris Jericho or another AEW wrestler. So they're trying.
It's difficult, but yeah, cinematic matches. Because, like you said, I mean, you nailed it. You need the story. Like I say, when we get to, as you guys call them, Spot Monkey, as I still call them AEW, I will be in the minority. So for AEW lovers,
that is trademark, by the way. No one else can use that.
for,
And also,
Yes.
if they're anything elite
for the
they actually
AEW
call
lovers,
it.
you will have a small defender in me. But it's something WWE has done well since the late '90s. Is storytelling, long-term storytelling.
But
Even
the
when they
audience
have
doesn't want that anymore. That's where the detractors are.
ECW did better storytelling than AEW.
very true.
And Paul Heyman was putting it together on a napkin or a pizza box before the show. But the difference, before we move on, the difference between AEW and ECW was, even though Paul might have come up with it an hour before the show, he at least worked off what happened last
the week before.
He actually kept the story going. He didn't just throw it on a napkin and say, "You're going to face you." Why? No one knows. Just do it.
And like I said before, I've told people before about WWE. Sometimes Vince's last minute changes will irk you because you're like, "What? Why?" But as long as it still works in the story context, then fine.
Also,
it happens.
Well, and also I think Vince is allowed to. I think Vince right now only has access to like 1/4 of his roster. So I mean, like, you gotta do something for 5 hours of TV every week.
Yeah, and he does it well. I mean, like I said, I honestly, the only Spot Monkey I watch is in highlights because the highlights I watch, I can't stomach through the full clip of whatever I've been watching. So
I
on
knew
that
I like to
note-
keep my food down, so
On that note,
I avoid.
Leroy, are you ready?
Oh, are you ready?
I've been ready for 12 weeks.
Oh yeah, all right.
But go on.
All right. I don't know. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and not the boys and girls, because this might be a little over the cuss.
We also can't use Road Dog's lines while he's not here. We can't.
Why not?
I don't have the hair to be Road Dog. Mark
All
doesn't have
right,
any hair.
all right. Well, yeah. All right.
My hair's all
I
on
have
now.
a shape though. I mean, I can get the jiggle on and stuff.
You have a head that looks like Billy Gunn, though.
That is true. All right.
Well, if
Well,
you're
can you
not down
say,
with that, I got
you know,
Anyway,
We-
Leroy, you have a special thing planned?
for your a little disclaimer?
Go ahead.
Well, it's like, all of us here at 13 Champions Subject to Change.
13 cards.
13 cards.
We got a lot of belts
we're
over here.
awesome.
Holy crap.
We are that good.
Yeah.
Jack's opinion is his own, and we feel, oh, screw that. There's not that many of us, and we all think AEW sucks. And, if you don't like it, email us.
So,
yell at us.
ladies and gentlemen,
Hey,
boys and girls.
hold it. Let's.
It is time now for what we have teased you almost since show 1.
Here we go.
It is-
Oh, boom. It's time for Zach.
Our sound guy works like the guy from Spot Monkey Wrestling. Anyway, it is now time for me to review the first. I'm going to go with. Okay, so the first season of AEW on Hulu goes up until their New Year's show. And now they're on season 2, but this is Hulu. This is not what it is. So it's technically the first 9 months on TV that AEW has had. So we're gonna chronicle the first year that we've known about AEW, because now we're in August. This is about when they announced Dynamite was gonna happen. So we're gonna go through for those.
Remember, 2 hours.
I know.
All right.
I know. Trust me, I get it. So
All right.
I'm going to take people back to a couple of around this time last year, maybe sometime in spring. Vince McMahon said the XFL was coming back. People were excited. It was going to be different than the last time.
I still hope it comes back.
It won't be with Vince. He's basically given up on it. It's now sitting in bankrupt court. Anyway, Vince McMahon announces the XFL is coming back. What is the only other football league really anyone watches in the world?
NFL.
It's the NFL.
The AFL or the Canadian Football League. Those are the 2 top premier leagues. And hey, what about the Grizzlies? I mean, that's probably the greatest league ever.
So continue.
You two didn't even collaborate on that, but somehow seamlessly fits. My God. Anyway, so anyway.
I have that one.
No, not yet. Anyway, so what ended up
I know.
happening was Vince McMahon said, "I'm bringing back the XFL." We all remember it. We were all kind of hyped about it. Now, here's the deal. There is a man. His name is Shad Khan. He owns probably one of the least successful NFL franchises ever, the Jacksonville Jaguars. He also owns Wembley Stadium, but the man's got more money than me, so I'm not going to question why he bought Wembley Stadium. But here's the deal. Shad Khan was not pleased that Vince McMahon was coming over from wrestling and coming to football because Vince finally got actual football people behind him. Fox put their real football announcers on the broadcasts of these games. Shad Khan got angry. So, he turned around and he decided he was going to purchase this thing called All Elite Wrestling. All Elite. Elite. Do you see where I'm going with this?
They're not elite.
Anyway, so
Spoiler alert.
so here's the deal. I am going to give. So anyway, we now go to Shad Khan, who I have in my notes is the real owner. So all of you people out there who are like, our leader is Tony Khan, his son. His son ain't got a dime in this company at all. This is all Shad Khan's money. He put his son in charge because supposedly Tony Khan is a guy
And
who...
not to be confused with Chaka Khan either.
Exactly. Tony Khan actually set up himself as this guy who actually collected old school Mid-South wrestling tapes. This is what he's been portrayed on the internet. He likes old school wrestling. So this is a guy who actually got us all excited because we're like, oh, a billionaire is going to go up against Vince. It's going to actually be funded. Then we found out that they had a big press conference set for a pool outside of a major hotel in Las Vegas. We're all still excited at this point. Everyone's still super happy. Everyone's like, oh my God, this is going to be great. Then it gets reported that Chris Jericho is involved. And we're like, oh man. Because at this point, I think Chris was in that category of he could still go. He was just kind of done with WWE. He had too many ideas.
And I think
deals.
at the time he was kind of starting to work with New Japan, which Vince gave his blessing.
Yeah, exactly. So, but here's the deal. And obviously, the Cruise of Jericho, which Vince said no to, but Jericho still wanted to. Wildly successful. I'm going to give Chris credit for being able to make that work. His Rock career, we'll talk about it later.
I'm a Fozzy fan.
Same here, though. But you should go look at the current rivalry he has going with Sebastian Bach. He doesn't sing better than Sebastian Bach, but that's
No.
that's
not a question. But you go.
Okay, hold on. All right, so then I heard who the executive, and we have to give them a title, who the executive vice presidents were going to be, and all of a sudden I sit there and I'm like, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, and Cody. I can't use my last name. The American Nightmare. Now here's the deal. I'm still kind of okay with this because at the time, regardless of how you felt, and by the way, I will own this right now because someone on the internet questioned this. There was a picture on my profile. You can go to my Facebook. It's public. You can see it of me with the Young Bucks. I paid $30 to get pictures with both the Young Bucks. I was a fan of theirs for a while. Obviously, I've kind of bashed them on the show, but as I've said, I fell out of favor with them.
I bet you want your money back, don't you?
No, because I still got to see Jay Lethal.
Okay.
That makes it worth it.
But anyway, also I got on I was able to get on a Ring of Honor DVD taping, so that's kind of
That's awesome.
Positive. But anyway, these are the executive vice presidents. And let me just name off some of the signees that they announced that night at that press conference. Now remember, you are doing this in Las Vegas, the entertainment capital of the world. Every hotel there is $1 billion hotel. They have hotels across the world. They are a worldwide brand. Every hotel in Vegas, except for the motels, but we all know, don't go to those. Anyway.
But $20 is $20.
Yeah, that's what she said too.
Yeah, but $20 gets you $20 worth. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that night I saw these guys come out to some fanfare. Chris Jericho, Hangman Adam Page, who is a big, nice up-and-comer young kid. He seems to get it. He was in ROH for a while, worked a little bit in Japan with the Bullet Club. MJF, who, if you didn't know him from his MLW days, he could be Jim Cornette's illegitimate son. This guy lives and breathes his gimmick. He doesn't want people to like him. He charges like $20 for one picture. He will flick you off in every picture. He flicked off a 9-year-old in a picture, and the dad tried to sue the place that like let MJF in. He doesn't want you to like him. His theme music begins with "I'm better than you, and you know it."
I respect that.
Right.
Yes.
So this guy, and by the way, he's 23. He's only 23.
I respect that even more because a lot of 23-year-olds I know can barely tie their shoes.
Exactly. So anyway, I'm excited because I know these guys. And then all of a sudden my mind gets blown. Pac, Adrian Neville comes out. And he's being taken serious. He's not booked with Enzo. He's being taken serious. He's angry. He's the bastard Pac, who was still unbeaten in Dragon's Gate, by the way, at the time. So I'm looking at myself like, oh my God, this might actually work. Look at these guys. And then I spent the next 2 weeks after the press conference looking at all the people they had signed, and we go from Orange flipping freshly squeezed Cassidy, who I'll get to in a little bit, to Joey Janela, who is known as the Bad Boy. That's how he says it, by the way. Joey Janela is known for being ECW, but not good on the wrestling scene.
Yeah, no, I remember him.
He looks like a homeless bum. I swear to God, he doesn't try. I mean, look, don't get me wrong. I'm not one of those people that needs to see a six-pack in a wrestler to believe in them. But, dude, you have a pot belly. You can't wrestle. The only reason people care about you is because you jump off stupid things.
Jake the Snake Roberts is in better shape than he is.
That's saying something.
That is true.
But anyway, Mark, I'm not joking. I actually did the math a little bit ago. At one point, and I don't know what it is now due to the pandemic, they had 86 wrestlers signed.
Really?
For one show. You haven't heard of fucking 90% of them, but anyway. So, there's more hype. Ted Turner is letting them on TNT. He's giving them 2 hours on a Wednesday night to present their show. I'm thinking Ted Turner wants to get back in the wrestling business. He kind of gets it. The only reason why WCW really died is because he did all the merging of his big companies, and then he lost WCW to all the, the story's been told 1,000 times.
Stories, yeah.
So anyway.
And if you haven't, it's on the WWE now.
Yes,
But here's the deal. I'm hyped. At this point, I'm enjoying myself. I'm incredibly excited, minus the guys who I don't give a damn about on the roster. But I'm excited because you at least have some talent in there.
Cody?
Hold on. And now, before I move on to my next segment, Mark, you're famous on the show, having never been on here, but Mark's famous line on the show is, Mark, if you would, please.
Who, honestly, and I'll change it up a little bit just because.
Okay.
But it's who honestly decided that Cody Rhodes, Cody the American Nightmare, was ever a star. He couldn't fill the shoes of his older brother Goldust, who was a mid-carder his whole career in the WWE.
Dustin's always been the more talented guy there.
Well,
Dustin's still wrestling here at 50.
And
he's putting on good matches.
He's got his dad's talent, and that obviously skipped Cody.
Right. Now,
he may have the
name
gift of gab,
Yeah,
because the man can talk like his dad.
Cody does that old cadence that Dusty had, which was, and a lot of Dusty's most famous rants started this way. He'll say something that makes no sense to you, but somehow he ties it in, and all of a sudden you're hooked. He has that cadence. Dustin never had that, but the wrestling ability, skip the generation. Anyway, now I would like to quote Cody Rhodes before I move on. Cody Rhodes said this at the introductory press conference, and I quote, "If not us, who? If not when, if not now, when?" So, quick question: are you guys not convinced right now? And I'm speaking in hyperbole, but take it seriously for 2 seconds. When you hear that, when you see the spectacle they made in Las Vegas, this ain't friggin' Louisville, Kentucky, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry for OVW. But this is Las Vegas. Are you not thinking, with this much top talent, that they're trying to be better night one? That they're not trying to go up against them to start? Everyone always sits there and says, well, they're a new company, give them a chance. No. You booked yourselves to be better night one.
Yeah.
That's what you told me. That's what you built yourself. The reason why I'm ranting against AEW right now is because I refuse to be the one person on the internet who forgives them for what they said. I'm going to hold you responsible for what you told me.
I figured they would have at least been a competition to the WWE,
Yeah.
polished, at least had
Especially with some of the guys you have.
Somewhere where they're going, storylines, things that they're
Not to
develop.
mention the fact, this is a billionaire's checkbook. But they signed all these guys, mind you, to work one night a week because they didn't even do live shows back before the pandemic. One night a week, these guys are getting paid 6 figures, almost all of them. So what you're telling me is that the Young Bucks just signed their friends from high school.
Pretty much.
They're just getting their friends jobs. So now we move into something that I think everyone has been trying to deal with recently is number 2. Okay, I put this above talking about the actual show, is the ratings war. They put themselves on Wednesday night at the exact same time slot that NXT is on the USA. So they're booking this as the Monday Night Wars revisited. Now, here's the deal. Officially, since the last show per this recording, which was July 22nd, AEW has been winning the ratings war 33 weeks out of a possible 41. So it's 42. It's 33 to 8 to 1. They tied 1 week. They had the exact same amount of viewers. Now, mind you, this is on a Wednesday night. It is the 4th most watched night on television, so you're not even a top 3 night. Monday and Friday, which is where WWE has their main shows. Monday I think is like number 1 or number 2 because everybody kind of comes back from the week and they want stuff to do, so they don't want to go out. They just want to sit at home, so you have a chance to put 3 hours of TV on. Friday night, yes, it's considered date night in America, but it's still Friday night. The kids can stay up later. When I was little, my parents let me stay up and watch the end of SmackDown because I could stay up till 9 o'clock. When I was a kid, so that was big for me to be able to watch Friday Night SmackDown. It sucked when it was on Thursdays because I can only watch an hour of the show. But anyway, but you're still only on Wednesday. The first 3 nights of this war, AEW topped 1 million viewers. They've averaged 750,000 cents.
The shiny new thing is always going to get more viewers.
I'll get to that. I'll get
For
to
a
that.
little while.
Also, can I also point out, you've told me, and I quote, we are going to be better than them to be in. You didn't say that, Cody, but you pretty much implied it, so don't back up on it, okay? Otherwise, you're going to have to go back to that press conference and tell me that you lied to my face.
It's fake news.
Thank you. Anyway, but no, okay, I have this written in, and I want to point this out. They are going up against Vince's C show. I'm not saying NXT...
It's his developmental brand that his son-in-law is in charge of.
I've taken developmental off because NXT has some really good stars, but this is the show that Vince puts his 3... Okay, so here's the deal. Vince McMahon has 3 shows, right? Raw, SmackDown, NXT. He owns all 3, even though Triple H is in charge of NXT. But this is the show that takes place at Full Sail University, which is a media studies type college. So what you're telling me is that all of your money and production value isn't going into this show. So you're not even competing with Vince's top 2 brands. You're barely competing with his C show, which was on the network for the longest time. He didn't even want to put it on TV to begin with, but USA decided, we'll give you some more TV time. But this is the thing.
Because that's the biggest draw USA has is the WWE.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I want to point something out. After those 3 weeks of over 1 million, and I think it was a couple more weeks, I don't know if it was 5 or 6 times. I don't remember how many shows AEW had, but now we're going to get into some little business, and I want Mark to hear the numbers before I have you guys react.
Okay.
They get renewed. TNT goes to AEW and says, we're going to give you 4 more years on television. And everyone's like, oh my God, and I'll give them credit. That's amazing. You're not even a month into TV, or maybe not even 4 months into TV, and you get renewed by your network. That's an awesome thing. That's cool. That's what you want when you debut a show. You want them to pick up you from the pilot and give you more episodes. But here's the thing that all the fanboys of Spot Monkey Wrestling have tried to shove in my face since the day it was announced. It is a 4-year, $175 million contract. And by the way, if we break that down in terms of a professional athlete, good contract, yes or no?
For a single athlete, yes.
Great contract. But this is a television show that is not going to run 20 shows. This would be a good deal for a show, even if it was... Okay, Law & Order runs what? 23 episodes
About
a season?
20, yeah, 23, yeah.
Is that what it is?
It's about 20,
Okay, so
yeah.
so Law & Order, one of the most watched things on... Are they on CBS now?
I think it's NBC. I think
It's
it's
still NBC.
Yeah.
Of the 85 roster, they get about $2 million for that 4-year contract if everyone got it equally.
Okay. Okay, so there you go. But here's the deal. Now we're going to get to where you people on the internet are trying to tell me something based on the news, but you're not willing to do the numbers. That is under $45 million a year for a show, for a television show with a national televised spotlight. You're doing, but again, we're not doing 23 episodes. We're not doing 23 weeks on TV. They have 45 to 50 shows a year. If you do the math on that 175 million, it's not even $1 million a show.
Ouch.
It's so okay, Mark. Okay, so Mark, you're writing a brand new sitcom. Okay, let's say that, or drama, whatever you want. What is the goal of every person who has a new TV pilot? It's to get the network to pay you so much money that they're essentially paying the show, they're paying the salaries, they're paying the production costs, and you can just pocket the money.
Yes.
That's the dream. You don't have that here. So in reality, if I'm an executive at TNT who probably, again, you're on Wednesday. I don't put my best shows on Wednesday. I don't care about you. I gave you TV time because Ted Turner owns TNT. Mind you, he owns CNN, HLN, TNT, TBS, as True TV, Turner Classic Movies, Cartoon Network and Boomerang, and Adult Swim by extension. You're not even in Turner Broadcasting. You're not even on their freaking, you're on their top channel, but I guarantee you're not even in their top 25 of shows they care about.
Well, do you think Ted just kind of gave him the 4-year contract just to get Vince a little rubbed the wrong way?
Hold on.
Because,
No. That's a good point, but let me present this as a possible scenario also. You saw a show that was on a night you barely care about, that was doing good numbers. They were tops in a lot of other television things. It's a Wednesday. Nobody puts their best shit on Wednesdays. Do you not think maybe somebody went to AEW and said, here's a deal. AEW was so desperate to get back at Vince and prove that they were the new breed that they took it. If anything, TNT stole the next 4 years of their show. They're not paying AEW for the next 4 years.
Well, they're not paying a top dollar
got
for the
the
next
Scottie
4.
Pippen contract.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And if anyone watched that, I'm not going to name the series just once again for copyright things. But
I think we've said it
everyone
on
watched
here
it,
before.
and Scottie Pippen got paid that. It was like it was a decent contract.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so long that he ended up getting paid like the lowest salary. Like he was the
lowest salary per year of any player, wasn't it?
and
It was close to it.
At the time, one of the top 3 players in the NBA.
He's the greatest Robin you ever saw, and honestly could have been a Batman on almost any other team.
He was LeBron before LeBron was even thought of
Fair.
in the twinkle of his daddy's eye.
Yep. No.
That's
That
why
is true,
I've
yes.
always never understood that basketball comparison of Bronny and MJ.
Yeah.
Because I understand the talent wise why they're compared.
But it's Bronny and Pippen, is what you're saying.
It's not even the position. It's like at least
Right, okay, anyway.
wrestling.
No, it's, it's fine. We use those kinds of things all the time. But here's the deal.
Rodman.
But here's the deal. Oh, by the way, I was doing some research for the show. It turns out what the AEW fan base won't tell you when they boast about their 4 years, $175 million.
That they sleep when the show's on.
Well, yeah, anyway.
I do.
But no, Leroy, I found this out. There's
Yes.
a 5th-year option for TNT. So this could potentially be 5 years, $175 million, which means the money goes down even more. There's a 5th-year option for 2024, so AEW could. And oh, by the way, I want to point something out. If they're willing to pay you this much after those kinds of numbers, if you keep these numbers, if your ratings, because here's the deal, like I said, very rarely do they get above 800,000. That's not a lot of people, but it's still decent enough for a Wednesday. So here's the deal. But here's the deal. Let's say 2025 comes along and the contract needs to be renegotiated. You're from TNT, all three of you gentlemen. Are you going to give them more money if they have the same rating they did 5 years ago?
Well, no, because to be fair, I mean, when we're looking at the numbers, to be fair, USA
I give them $5.
USA is paying WWE close to, I think it's close to $8 to $10 billion. Someone do the research.
Yeah.
When they brought NXT to USA to keep.
But my point is this. My point is this. If you
you wouldn't, because you're like, we're paying pennies on the dollar for this company, while USA is paying a ransom.
And it's not even comparing WWE to AEW because TNT.
No. It's just the numbers itself. Like,
but my point is this.
TNT, no.
but my point is this. Mark, it's a simple contract. Okay, sports for a sec. I'll use basketball since that's your thing. If I'm getting 25 points and 10 rebounds a night from you on $10 million, let's say, we do this $10 million for like 5 years. If after 5 years you're still giving me 25 and 10, and I've already taken 5 years of your career, are you all of a sudden going to come back to me and make sense when that guy asks you for $20 million? You're not going to give him double the money for the same production.
You have to be better to get more money.
But that's my point. They have not. NXT has actually raised their viewership since this whole thing started. But TNT's come down to earth.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Don't you think AEW has already probably hit their peak? Because even the fans of the show, just like fans of Cheetos with hair pieces, have to start realizing that sometimes no matter how much your dreams and hopes are for something, you just got to realize it went in the toilet and you got to just flush it and get away with it.
There's a ceiling.
It's just how it is.
That's true.
There's a ceiling for everything, and I don't know if they can get past what they do. And anyway, we'll explain why in a second. I still want to get to the business side of things before we talk about the show.
Lesnar, Drew McIntyre, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Shinsuke Nakamura, and the New Day went over to AEW, they might have a chance.
Right. But Vince,
Maybe.
First of all, Brock is not dumb enough to go work for a promotion this unprofessional because Brock Lesnar doesn't like people to begin. Not to mention that Brock Lesnar is bigger than all the executive vice presidents combined. Well, at least Vince looks like a man.
The last WWE contract and UFC contract that he signed, I don't think he'll have to go anywhere and do anything the rest of his life.
Especially considering Brock Lesnar is an attraction, so I don't think AEW can afford him.
My best friend from high school went to grade school with Brock.
Really? Interesting.
He was actually. Did you guys ever see the training videos when he started in the WWE?
Yeah.
He was running with the telephone.
Yeah.
That is 100% not made up. That he used to do that off the floor.
No. We've talked on the show.
I'm not that big, but that's how we used to carry logs around. It was thrown on the shoulder and walk around.
Yeah.
Because it's easier that way.
I get that, but it's just it's like no, that wasn't made up. He actually ran down the road doing that because they said.
Yeah. But anyway, here. Okay, so back to the business side of things before we get to actual Dynamite. Because it's been a blow of a show to begin with anyway. Great name, boys. It blows. Anyway.
Well, if I'm ever on the show again, you'll just know the sporadic brain of mine that goes. So it's just going to be a sporadic time every time I'm on here. That's the unpredictable fun of having me on the show.
Well, but the thing is, you're entertaining. This is sporadic, schizophrenic bullshit. Anyway.
So about as exciting as the Blatz.
I'll let you go ahead and finish with the business side, because then me and you can argue about Dynamite.
But hold on.
It's going to be fun, boys.
We're going to argue after I explain my shit. But here's the deal.
Go for it.
Mark, do you not think that TNT stole the next 4 years of their career? They're not paying for this show.
No.
Well, see, that's the whole thing. If you're going to do something, you should figure out how to do it. TNT didn't screw it. They did the best business thing they could possibly do.
For a show that was...
It's going to get them ratings, which is what they need for them to make money, because that's where the sponsors come in and pay them, because they advertise during...
And enough of this demo winning of like, oh, we lost the overall, but we won the demo, and sponsors like demo. Okay, you might have won the demo, but you don't think that Mountain Dew is not a big sponsor for NXT?
This is the way I look at it. Look at the sponsor dollars that AEW gets during their shows versus what even just NXT gets during their shows.
But the difference...
And then go with NXT's merch sales versus AEW's merch sales. See who is better, and that's the ultimate winner.
But now...
Yes, it is. Yeah, that's true.
But now, hold on, because it's interesting you bring that up, because Allison pointed something out, because she's sat and sadly had to sit through Dynamite with me about as much as I have. But here's the deal. She made a good point. at the end of the day, though, when you look at viewership numbers, when you look at sales, when you look at advertising, I mean, if you watch what TNT does during an episode of Dynamite, they spend half the commercial breaks promoting their own stuff. So there's no sponsorship to worry about because you're promoting your other shows that are on bigger nights. This is a filler night. Nobody cares. Whereas USA, well, okay, every TV channel will promote coming things. Not going to say they won't. But USA advertises Raw. They advertise Ms. and Mrs. They advertise Cannonball, which has Mike the Miz
Hell,
on
they
it.
advertise SmackDown and it's not on their network.
No, but that's my point. But that's my point is that they are any sponsorship that isn't national sponsorship. And yes, USA throws in a couple of shows, but USA does it right. It's right before the commercial break ends, so it's only about 30 to 40 seconds of the commercial break. But half of the commercial break is promoting more WWE. TNT isn't promoting Dynamite when Dynamite's on. They're not doing it. So TNT is literally, they don't have to care about this show as long as the ratings are somewhat competitive. And they don't, by the way, TNT doesn't even care about NXT. As long as you're competitive with the rest of TV on a Wednesday night, they don't care what you do on your show. So no one's watching this and saying, oh, this is crap. Because first of all, nobody knows wrestling over at TNT. We learned that back in the 90s.
Just wait till the NBA wants to take Wednesday night on TNT and watch AEW just disappear.
Oh, you think Spike TV used to drop TNA for like, not Spike TV dropped TNA for like bar wrestling.
Yeah.
You really think TNT is gonna keep AEW over LeBron James in LA? It's not happening.
Nope.
You think TNT's not gonna say, "Hey, the Pelicans play on Wednesday. Dynamite, Pelicans with Zion Williamson healthy." That's not a contest.
Hey, it's the Kings and the practice squad from Lithuania playing a scrimmage game on an aircraft carrier or AEW. Which one are we playing? Go with the Kings game.
Okay, so
That'd be a
now
lot
that
better
we've
to
gotten
watch.
So anyway, I have this in big bold print. Mark, in my opinion, we were lied to. In my opinion, based on the business end of things, you're not better right away. In my opinion, the fans of AEW, who by the way, they cheer all the time as if they were paid to do it. They also, and here's the other problem. When you look at those numbers, not barely, only averaging about 750, maybe 800,000 since those dropped from 1 million. And by the way, it's actually been research done, proven based on the Jim Cornette show that a lot of people actually watched AEW because Jim Cornette shit on it. And then when he stopped doing it on his podcast, their numbers dipped. So there's an actual correlation to people are just watching so they can go back and watch Jim shit on it. So you're being watched ironically, number one, by about 1/4 of your audience.
So that's kind of like watching The Wizard of Oz with the Pink Floyd song playing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But anyway, okay. So it's just, here's my thing. I'm gonna get a hell of a lot more angry when I talk about the actual wrestling side of this. But my point about this is that when you look at everything that you've been sold by AEW, you sold me a bill of goods. I don't have what I'm supposed to have. I don't view you from a business side winning. And here's the other thing. You're barely beating the show that Vince McMahon cares about the least.
True.
You can't say you're competing with WWE when you can't even beat NXT. By the way, you want to know the craziest shit about this entire thing? Going way back to when NXT finally sort of peaked in the ratings with AEW and became the Wars. I'm not joking. Do you want to know the very first NXT segment that beat AEW head-to-head in hourly ratings? It was two girls having their very first match on NXT television.
Nice.
That beat AEW in the rating for the first time. So what you're telling me is that two girls I barely know from NXT who are developmental talents can beat your main stars? Screw you. Anyway. So we're going to move on to, ladies and gentlemen, the actual... Oh, by the way, great news. They're actually... That TV deal is grounds for a second television show. They can't get Dynamite right, but they're going to do it. So now we're back to, we got Nitro, let's have Thunder.
So Wednesday nights and Sunday mornings?
I don't...
Well, right now they...
church?
I still wouldn't watch it.
Hold on.
Oh, okay.
We'll get
get
to that. So,
okay.
Mark, now we're going
Is
to...
there horse racing on?
There might be,
There
yes.
might be horse racing.
Or church.
Or church.
Just
anyway,
watch church.
Anyway, we're gonna go to. So, ladies and gentlemen, they debut with a couple of pay-per-views. All In was the original pay-per-view that sort of launched Shad Khan into working with these guys because Cody and the Young Bucks funded it themselves. It was not great. but it was good for an indie wrestling. By the way, going back to what you said about people carrying people out, on that show, Joey Ryan was carried out of his match by penis druids. They were dressed like penises, and he was carried out of the ring by people dressed like penises. And that's how they built Joey Ryan in the very first All In. He had a solo match, and he was carried out by penis druids by losing. This is how...
That's a way to stick it to you.
I'm supposed to take this shit seriously, first
That's
of all.
what she said, too.
So now, Dynamite...
I can use that too
So
much.
now,
I'm sorry.
I'm going to go through...
You never actually use that enough.
No,
That's what she said,
I
too.
really can't. Anyway, whilst Leroy and Mark have a jerk-off contest in the corner, I'm actually going to sit here and talk about
Hey.
the show. Yes, Leroy, you have a
I
response to that.
have my pants on still. Shut up.
And $20 is $20.
Although Mark, great callback from the press conference. You get $20 worth of you're getting $20 worth of talent there.
Fill to this line, please.
Where has the Where has the show gone? Where it has before.
Where was it? That's the real question.
All right, my
So
mom
anyway,
is definitely not going to listen to this one.
So anyway, to try to get back to our wrestling viewers, Dynamite. So Dynamite debuts, right? I'm going to go through the only things that and by the way, what's really sad about Dynamite is you have 86 wrestlers. They're featuring maybe 24.
86 wrestlers and 4 super kicks.
Yeah. And
No, more than that.
45 actually.
Yeah.
4 from each.
Oh, okay. Good
That's
breakdown.
fair.
Good
So
breakdown.
anyway, number one.
I can't do that much math in my head. That's
No.
why I had to do it that way.
Number one, the biggest thing that has been an absolute dumpster fire about AEW Dynamite, going back to their name, All Elite Wrestling. The Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, when they were in the Bullet Club, the reason why they got kicked out of the Bullet Club by Tama Tonga and the rest of the OG Bullet Club guys is because they would always wrestle under this other moniker called the Elite. They considered themselves A, the greatest tag team in the world, and B, Kenny Omega thought he was the best wrestler in the world because the internet told him that.
Brizongo's the best tag team.
Yes.
But here's the deal. Kenny Omega. So let's talk about the Elite, which is now Kenny, the Bucks, Cody, and I think Hangman Page is in there
Kind
too.
of.
So anyway,
And isn't Sammy Guevara?
that's the inner circle.
That's the inner circle.
With Chris Jericho. But anyway,
Same thing.
Yeah. So anyway, we have the Elite. Now, okay, I can understand. Everyone now knows in the days of internet, you're in charge. You're the vice presidents. You're booking the stuff. So maybe since you're hiring your friends, because that's all you do, is you hire your buddies. No one's really trained, and the guys who know what they're doing are being gimmicked into BS. Because the very first match that this company ever presented me on pay-per-view was a over-the-top rope battle royal, which was actually not a bad idea. See, what they tried to do is they tried to reinvent the battle royal. Is they called it I think it was the buy-in battle royal. You had to like buy your way in with like money, cash, because they were in Vegas when they did it. So they took a deck of cards, right? Every single guy in the battle royal got a card. They had groups, the Diamond group, the Club group, the Spades group, and everyone came in at the same time if you were in that group. And then they had the Joker card. So one guy came in last. He was known as the wild card entry.
Who got that wild card?
Hangman Page. But anyway, what's really shocking to me is the first group had to have been the dumbest set of things. Okay, we've all watched indie wrestling. You do crazy things to get yourself noticed. I'm not knocking that. I get that. I get that that's indie wrestling. But now that you're on national television, don't you want to maybe take some seriousness to what you do? Don't you maybe want to look better than you did when you were on the indies? Possibly. I mean, but see, that's the problem.
Actually have good outfits
But that's the problem, is that every single
practice your
guy
craft
on this
before you go out
show
there.
pretty much is still doing the same stuff he was doing in the indies. The very first thing I saw on AEW television was a group with a legless dude, a guy named Michael Nakazawa. I'm not doing that because I stuttered. That's his actual name, is Michael Nakazawa, who is Kenny who is Kenny Omega's best buddy from Japan. And by the way, Michael Nakazawa, his gimmick his gimmick no, keep that, because guess what his gimmick is? He gets in like a hold, He pours baby oil on himself to slip out. This
Yeah.
is you're telling me that this guy could be your future world champion. That's what you're trying to tell me in your very first match.
He's a mid-carder for sure, though.
But no,
Maybe.
but no, AEW
You should be doing the worm.
Scotty
With more
Tuhati.
oil.
Scotty Tuhati seemed like a better man.
Yeah, when I first saw Michael's gimmick in AEW, I was disappointed because you're talking about a guy in New Japan who he was taken seriously, almost like an upper mid carder.
Yeah.
Very seriously, he's probably one of the top 50 wrestlers in the world, and I'm like, wow, now he's just putting baby oil. Yeah, I was disappointed too.
But anyway, Mark.
I hear you.
But anyway, Mark. The Elite then comes on TV. Now, mind you, Kenny Omega's supposed to be the best in the world because he's just coming off of his run in New Japan, where don't get me wrong.
Those bouts with Okada are some of the
But Okada
best.
carried it.
Okada did not carry him.
Okada
did not carry him. Those two are two of the best.
But hold
wrestlers in
on.
the band.
But hold on.
Yeah,
Jesse.
he carried him.
But Jesse, hold
he
on.
did not carry him.
Hold on, Jesse. But before you continue,
I will hear you.
hold on.
Go ahead.
But here's
go
the
ahead.
deal: Kenny Omega, supposedly the best in the world. The Bucks, supposedly the best tag
Well, they're
team.
not the best.
Hold on.
Yeah.
But their fans think that.
Yeah.
And their fans are the only ones actually consistently watching this garbage. But here's the deal, Mark. They go on the show. The Young Bucks get beat in the first round of the tag team title tournament.
Yeah.
Why? I don't understand. You're supposed to be the best in the world, but and Kenny Omega comes across as a blithering, can't even actually speak, moronic idiot who, by the way, without proper training from the dojo in New Japan, without good booking agents of Japan, Kenny Omega, he has regressed. Even AEW fans are like, where's the Kenny Omega from New Japan? They're booking themselves as losers.
Yeah, they were.
If you're supposed to be the best in the world, it doesn't matter. You're the only draw they have. Why are you not booking yourself better?
And I think their idea was like, well, we don't.
Wanna show
But
favoritism.
but you already pointed out, you already show favoritism when you signed all your buddies. You might as well just go, as they like to say, I will defend that.
Kenny Omega has not yet been in this sports-based presentation that they're calling it.
Champion.
He hasn't. He's now.
Besides tag team champion,
But he hasn't been taken seriously
No.
in his singles run.
is
He
ridiculous.
hasn't been in the world title picture.
Nope.
And by the way, Adam Page has I think it's now 13-2 record.
Yeah.
He's not even a top 5 considered wrestler in AEW.
He's outside
But this is
the
a
top 5,
sports-based presentation. At 12-2, you're not top 5. There's guys in the top 5 because once again, it's still wrestling. You need a story. They're putting guys in the top 5 based on name alone. It doesn't even matter. So now you've made records irrelevant because you told me they were going to matter, but they're not because you're realizing that you're giving victories to guys who don't make any goddamn sense. So anyway, the Elite have been booked to look like absolute pathetic wastes of fucking airtime.
If I'm not mistaken, that's your one, right?
Yes. Which is fine.
He will probably do a couple more.
But Mark, shouldn't someone go to these guys and say, you're technically the talent, you're the draw, you need to be presented better?
Here's my theory on that. You don't think someone already has. See, they're already egotistical enough where they think what they're doing is good enough to compete and to do what they're doing.
Well, they think everything they do is revolutionary. And by the way, Jim Cornette said it best when he talked about the Bucks for the 80 billionth time. They're doing a bunch of shit that no one did before, and maybe there's a reason why nobody did it before. Because it wasn't going to get you where... Because again, the Bucks... By the way, and Jesse, I'm sorry if you love their New Japan run with Kenny. The only reason the Bucks ever became the first guys in wrestling to make $1 million away from the WWE is because they were living off of anti-WWE hate. They did everything they could to sell merchandise, to push buttons. They were telling their own fans to wear a Bullet Club t-shirt to a WWE taping. So you guys say, we made $1 million out of WWE. No, you didn't. They're the reason anyone gave a damn about you in the first place because you were using their name. They don't talk about you. They don't mention you. They don't even give a damn you exist. And they're still making money. More than you.
Yeah, I think WWE's maybe made 2 mentions to AEW, and that was like
Both
in the first couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And I think that was Corey Graves slipping up
Yep.
on
Well, it was Sami
maybe,
Zayn.
or maybe Renee.
It was
Yeah.
Sami Zayn.
No, Renee
and
Young's
then-
always on point, man.
And then I think Renee Young,
Oh,
but it was
was
just.
it? Okay.
But Renee Young, I think it was because
Well, but-
everyone knew that John was leaving, so they were wondering if he was going there.
And And by the way, everyone's like, oh, once John debuted on their. By the way, bad booking from the start. John Moxley doesn't debut at the final pay-per-view going into Dynamite. He debuts at the first of 3 pay-per-views, and then you go 2 pay-per-views barely mentioning him. What?
Yeah.
I am so mad at John Moxley for leaving the WWE. He was one of my favorite wrestlers going in there. I loved his character as Dean on there. And now he's just ruined it for me.
But
like,
the problem
I don't
is,
like him anymore.
but the
His
problem
character
is,
horrible.
but the problem is that John Moxley is a taken to another level version of Dean Ambrose, and Dean said, I left because Vince wasn't letting me do what I wanted. Well, if this is the crap he wanted to do, I'm glad Vince said no. I'm glad Vince McMahon looked at Dean Ambrose and said, you're not doing this barbed wire web thing. By the way, AEW was just recently fined for that match, Kenny Omega versus John Moxley, by the Maryland Athletic Commission, $10,000 for the bad blood and the horrible.
It was supposed to be like an unsanctioned.
But it was
bad
so
blood fight.
terrible to begin with. It was the most fake crap I ever saw, and it was like ECW at least made it realistic when they hit you with things.
If they're gonna do matches like that, why don't they just pay Mick Foley to show him how to do it? I mean, he'd gladly come over there and
Because Mick doesn't want to ruin his career here by being with these schmucks.
That's not
have to be
fair. He knows the Rhodes brothers pretty well. He's friends
he
with
doesn't.
them.
He doesn't have to be on camera. He just has to go show him how to actually.
Okay,
take
going
that with him.
on. We'll leave the elites aside for a moment.
And Kenny is one of the best 5 wrestlers in the world.
He has not been presented like that.
Not in AEW. He hasn't been shown like that in AEW. They're booking his own booking of himself.
What he has shown me in AEW is that Japan made him, and he's still trying to do a Japanese style match in America, which doesn't work. That's why you don't get a lot of it here. Anyway, moving on to the single dumbest thing that has ever happened in wrestling. And by the way, it's been voted on the internet multiple times. This has actually replaced Vince Russo's booking as the most annoying thing in wrestling, and that is a true fact. I found many sites that say this.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen,
AEW in general?
no.
Oh, okay.
The Dark Order.
Yeah, that was horrible
This
for months.
is a joke and a half. They're friends with the Young Bucks. The Bucks, apparently, Chris Jericho confirmed on their podcast, this is 100% their idea. They're booking it from the start. Okay, seriously, what is going on with the Dark Order? I do not understand. First of all, you tease this guy, Evil Uno. He's not the leader. Okay, you're going to bring somebody in. First of all,
That's the Brody Lee.
yes, but no, hold on. Let me get to that. First of all, you could go with anyone on your roster. You could build them into a star. You could maybe write someone up. No, the rumors were it's going to be Matt Hardy when he comes over from WWE because Matt was done with WWE. But here's the deal. It would have made sense because Matt already had the broken gimmick. It looked like a cult. Everything made sense. But guess what? He comes in, he feuds with the Inner Circle, he's not part of the Dark Order. By the way, Matt Hardy is now angry with his place in AEW, doesn't want to be there. Boy, I wonder why that is, because you booked him like a schmuck since day one. Anyway, we're not...
And he sees when his brother's getting booked in the WWE, he's like, but I could have still been doing that.
But the thing is, going back to that, everyone who says this is mean to addicts, Jeff wouldn't do this if he wasn't okay with it.
Yeah.
It's his idea. Of course you're going to do that, because once again, it's a storyline that's believable.
Okay, hold on. The Dark Order. We didn't get Matt Hardy. So now we're building to the Exalted One. The big eye in the sky leader of this Dark Order. And we get the Bray Wyatt cast off dirty shirt wearing Brody Lee, who doesn't even shave before he puts on a new suit. He doesn't even cut his hair. You don't come in looking like an Exalted One. You come in looking like Luke Harper with a suit.
Stone dreaded out Jesus.
You know what? Though?
That's true.
I get why that's annoying to people, but I never got mad at it.
Hold on.
Continue. Go
I ain't
ahead.
done with Dark Order. So Mark, I'm gonna get to the first night that Dark Order really showed up. Okay. I don't know if did you see their debut when they beat up all the elite. First of all, how are you supposed to be 4 of the best wrestlers in the world, the Bucks, Cody, Dustin, and Kenny, and you get completely obliterated by dudes that nobody knows, by a bunch of
Wyatt reject.
No.
He wasn't there yet.
He wasn't there yet. Luke Harper was still on WWE TV.
Because I think this was November or October.
Yeah, it was November, October. So anyway, Mark. So they come out, they beat everybody up, but here's what bothers me the most, going back to storytelling and to writing. So they booked the Dark Order for at least a month. These professional video packages, this big cult. Everybody was like indoctrinated. You were given a mask. The mask is supposed to be sacred, as in we are all one, right?
Druids.
Yes. Okay, but here's the deal. They have two guys, WWE cast-offs, named Alex Reynolds and John Silver. They're nobodies. They look like nobodies. They're underneath talent in AEW. They show up to beat up the Young Bucks and the Elite with the Dark Order. They are now indoctrinated. They've bit they're drinking the Kool-Aid, basically. Okay. Now hold on.
Purple or red?
Purple in this case.
Purple in this case. But anyway.
It's Jonestown all over again.
Anyway, I've explained this to Leroy, and he didn't get it. Willie didn't get it. But here's the deal: these two guys are presented their masks after beating up everybody. Okay, they are given these masks. They are now one with the Dark Order, right? They never put the masks on in the 5 other times they've been on TV with the Dark Order. So if these things are so amazing and they're sacred, why aren't you wearing them? Why are they not on when you come on television?
Maybe they're on under their tights.
No.
They'll wear them during matches, but yeah.
No, they don't.
They do actually wear them during matches.
But
it's
why?
It's inconsistent. Is what it is.
But why are they not wearing them all the time? If you had to work so hard for, if you had to stick your friends, the Young Bucks, in the back to get them, why are they not sacred to you?
I know. There was no mask ordinance. That's
Oh, for God's sake!
Well, in the last,
You're welcome.
In the last 3 weeks, they have kind of corrected that because now they wear them all the time. But yeah, for the first 6 or 7 months, it was incredibly.
But again,
inconsistent.
going back to Mark's point on
It loses
storytelling,
it.
you've presented me for 6 weeks that they mean nothing. Now they're supposed to mean something without any explanation. No, that's not how this works. All right, now hold on, Jesse. I'm not done. Okay, now we move on.
Wait, folks. There's more.
Wait, there's more.
Hold on. Now we move on to something that Jesse will not defend because he already mentioned on the show how bad it is. Booked by Mr. Kenny Omega, the women's division.
Yeah.
It is awful. It is terrible.
It's atrocious.
They don't need it.
atrocious.
You are presenting me women that I'm supposed to take seriously, but it doesn't make any sense. Your 2 top American women. Go ahead, Leroy.
Here's my comment for that.
Okay, but no. First of all, Kenny Omega is booking the women's division, and the only reason why he's in All Elite and not New Japan was because they wouldn't let him work with Riho over in Japan.
Because he helped train her. Yeah.
So he's trying to reho the women's division here.
There you go. Hey,
But
no, okay,
They
Mark,
let him play with a plastic doll at least.
that was over in Japan. Anyway,
In
Mark,
Japan, yeah.
he actually wrestled a blow-up doll in Japan.
Yeah.
That's what he's
And
referring
it
to.
was a 5-star. I'm joking. Anyone who took that joke seriously, by the way, if you're an AEW
Mark?
fan, you
I
should
think
be
it was a
ashamed of
lover's
yourself.
quarrel at that time.
Mark, no, hold on, Mark. He books Riho, who's all of this is real. I'm not being mean.
Like 80
She's
pounds.
95
Yeah.
pounds. They book her as their first women's world champion. They skip over Britt Baker, who's a good American, a little green, but she's an American girl who looks amazing and can go a little bit. She's actually dating Adam Cole, by the way. Number 2, you skip over
Maybe.
Nyla Rose, who Nyla Rose is a transgendered female. But guess what?
She's a female.
But no,
No, that's for you, but I'm just saying,
fair.
for people who keep saying, like, for people, because there were some fans, even in the AEW community, like, well, she shouldn't be in the women's division, but it's
But
like, she's a
Don't they
woman.
have the Awesome Kong over there now? Too?
yes,
She
but they haven't-
retired.
Hold,
Yeah.
but hold on.
She
I'm not
should
done.
be the-
Hold on. I'm not done. Let me finish the
for it,
women's
go
division.
for it.
But here's the deal. You made Nyla Rose, who again, if regardless of Nyla Rose's situation in life, if the women in the locker room don't care, I'm fine with that. I'm not here to bash her for that. But here's the deal. 300-pound Native American beast. That's how she's booked. She sold legitimate strikes for Riho. She sold for Riho. 95 pounds. This isn't even Gail Kim versus Awesome Kong in TNA, where Awesome Kong would take realistic bumps, where Awesome Kong would like knock into the ropes and then Gail Kim would hit her with a shot as she's dizzy. No, it was a competitive match between a 95-pound schoolgirl. That's how Riho dresses. Don't.
It's
Not-
true.
not- but-
It's true.
But no, Mark, 300-pound badass beast monster. She's being booked to look weak against a 95-pound schoolgirl. This is what Kenny Omega views as talent.
She should be Keith Lee and people into the 5th row.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's selling for these girls. She's not booked like a monster. She's booked like any other woman on the roster, which you're not. You are a badass.
If they're gonna have the monster lose, the monster has to trip and fall and hit their head.
Thank you. No. Riho beat her clean.
Yeah.
Nothing happened. Riho beat her clean.
Yeah, that'd be like Rey Mysterio beating Brock Lesnar clean. It's not a believable thing. You can pick him up and throw him half across.
Now
Yeah.
we move on to something that I can't forgive. That they won't let go. Brandy Rhodes, for the love of God, get off of my television. I don't want to see you anymore. Hold on. You don't know this because I haven't told you this story yet. You know this because you watched it. She booked a stable in the women's division called the Nightmare Collective.
Yeah.
Now, the Nightmare Collective was built up of her, Awesome Kong. What was the girl's name?
Mel.
And
then Luther, who...
hold on.
does
No.
all the matches.
We're not there yet. Yet. Mel, who got her head shaved to prove her loyalty to Brandy. Brandy didn't shave her head, but Mel did. So now we have a... Okay, first of all, here... The two most egregious moments in this women's division happen around the Nightmare Collective. Okay, so Riho's the champion, right? She's supposed to face Chris Statlander for the championship. Chris Statlander, I think, is like over 6 feet tall for a woman.
6'2",
6'2". She looks good.
Yeah.
She's just very green.
Yeah.
She also plays an alien from the Andromeda Galaxy, so there's that indie bullshit we're dealing with. But no, here's the deal. They booked this championship match.
Nanu?
Yeah. But anyway,
Yes.
Mark, they booked this championship match. It doesn't happen. And do
Yeah.
you, hold on. Do you want to know why it doesn't happen, Mark? Do you want to know the reason why Riho did not face the man or Chris Statlander from the Andromeda Galaxy? Do you want to know why?
Shingles?
No. Chris Statlander was booked on another indie show the same night.
Right.
They didn't check to see if she was booked for national television on a Wednesday.
This is Mel. I'm not sure if you've ever seen Shimmer before.
Was she Serena from the Straight Edge Society?
No.
Different girl? Okay.
Yep.
But no, Mark. So, by the way, do you want to know the company Chris Statlander was booked for? The prestigious, amazing company that she wasn't able to do. By the way, this was their New Year's event. This was a major television New Year's show on a national television. Guess where Chris Statlander was?
Some New Jersey wrestling.
She was wrestling in Bar Wrestling for Joey Ryan's company, Bar Wrestling, that night. And you want to tell me that a company that apparently paid Orange Cassidy $100,000 couldn't call Joey Ryan and say, hey, Joey, here's a check for $3,500. That's more than Chris Statlander was going to give you in ticket sales. We need her for TV. You don't think Joey would have taken $3,500 cash? He would have taken $3,500 cash. But here's the bullshit. Here's what bothers me. Nobody in this company thinks to write a small story of she got hurt. No, they admit on live television she's booked somewhere else. We're gonna let her wrestle there. But this match will happen next week. They say that on national television. They don't even write it in. They just say it.
They just have Excalibur announce it.
Excalibur just says, we are going to let Chris Statlander fulfill her obligation to a company that none of you give a shit about because it's not on TV. We're on national television, TNT. We got a freaking $175 million TV contract, but we're going to let Joey Ryan keep his friggin' booking. You got all this money, and you can't call him up and say, here's $5,000, go away. Hold on. I'm not done yet. Now we get to next week. I'm not done, Mark, because here's the storytelling they think is good.
Hold on, folks. There's more.
Oh my God! And Jesse, okay. So anyway, Mark. Next week, the match is finally happening, right? Now, Brandy's on color. Don't know why she's on commentary. She's never had anything to do with Chris Statlander or Riho up until this point. But she's on color commentary. The Nightmare Collective comes down as this is happening. They beat the living piss out of Riho and Chris Statlander, and then out of nowhere, Luther shows up, the 20-year semi-retired Japanese deathmatch wrestling legend, according to Excalibur. He said it exactly right, that. But he's there because he's Jericho's buddy. They're now paying Luther, as a semi-retired Canadian deathmatch wrestling dude from Japan, to be in a women's segment. By the way, guess what? The Nightmare Collective has been gone completely. Luther's still there. He's not doing anything, but they're still paying him to show up on TV. He's not doing shit, but they're paying him. They're paying the guy. But hold on, Mark. No, I'm not done. Keep that facial expression because Jesse knows where I'm going with this. So Luther shows up.
Yeah.
They beat the piss out of both these girls. Awesome Kong has whipped Riho, who weighs all of 95 pounds. You know how big our Awesome Kong is. She whips her into the barricade. They beat the piss out of both these girls. They're both on the floor. They're both unconscious. The match continues.
Yeah.
The referee didn't call it. It's not a double DQ. They're not giving them an out to have it next week. The match continues, and 4 minutes after this beatdown is over, the Nightmare Collective's gone. We're not talking about them anymore. Now they're wrestling like it never happened. They're selling like they feel just fine. Let's ignore the fact you just got your asses kicked, and we're just going to keep going. And then Riho beats her clean, even though they both got laid out by Awesome Kong. This is a television program! With audio issues, by the way. I couldn't hear them for the first half of a show.
That like I said, I will jump in when I feel it's time for the fight or whatever. But that was indefendable because one, now you made your women's champion look weak. You made your women's division look stupid. The Nightmare Collective was actually so bad that even AEW fanboys, the hardest ones, booed them so bad that they couldn't bring it back.
They had what is called in the business go home heat.
Yeah.
Get off of our TV. We don't want you there.
Do not come down to this ring. Every time Brandy would come out with them, they got booed so bad.
And Brandy comes off as somebody who's taken one too many acting classes, and she wants to use the Nightmare name because that's what Cody is. She wants to do this.
And to be fair to you, I'll even add on
the Marine '96.
I don't know.
The worst part
Marine
of that booking, Mark, and everyone who's never seen that was the fact that because Cody at that point is still one of the baby faces, and so every time they ask him about his wife, his answer was always, "I don't understand why she's doing that." I haven't.
Hold on, Mark. Hold on. We're not done with Brandy, and here's why. She has changed her gimmick in the first 9 months 5 times. Yeah. By the way, the Nightmare Collective was removed. No explanation. No one knows why. We haven't seen Mel. We haven't seen Awesome Kong since. They're just gone. They beat up the women's champion, and then one day on TV, they're gone. Poof. But hold on. On their YouTube show, AEW Dark, which I'm going to get to in a little bit, which, by the way, they never refer to on the national television show, but AEW Dark, well, they put the results in the bottom.
Well, not recently they've been referring to it, yeah.
AEW Dark is apparently a continuation of their national television.
Yeah.
So I'm supposed to go to YouTube on Tuesday and watch this, and then come back to national television, and I'm just supposed to know what happened on Dark, because they're continuing the story on national television. But here's the deal. They never, ever, outside of Brandy was on Dark and she went to a therapist and apparently the therapist took the nightmare out of her. That's the only explanation we have. And hold on. Brandy Rhodes...
That's kind of what Jada said to Will Smith.
Fair enough. But here's the deal.
Oh my God.
Hold on, Mark. So all right.
I got nothing for that one.
Brandy no longer in the Nightmare Collective. Cody Rhodes, who has surprisingly, sadly been one of the highlights because he's actually tried to be serious with his own shit. He's in a deal with MJF. MJF said, if you want to face me one-on-one, you have to do 4 things. You have to beat Wardlow, his big bodyguard in a match, in a cage match. Then you have to take 10 lashes from a leather belt on national TV, which is great. I love it. It's good, old school. It made sense. But here's the deal. As he's taking the lashes, Brandy, again, this is while she's still in the Nightmare Collective, comes out as his wife, grabs his hand, and tries to be the sympathetic wife. She was just on the show being this crazy nut job trying to beat up the women.
Prozac is an amazing drug.
But anyway,
yeah.
Mark, then I don't know what happened. Then Brandy is no longer the supportive wife. Now she's in Dustin Rhodes' corner.
Well, yeah, because so now...
Hold on.
It must have been Cody's neck tattoo.
Hold on, Mark.
No, that was later.
Hold on, Mark. So, Brandy is now in the corner of Dustin. Then they both face each other, Cody and Dustin. Now she's in Cody's corner. No explanation. No one knows why. She just switched corners in the middle of this friggin' segment. And now she's involved in the Nightmare Sisters because she apparently can't give up on the name. And now she's with Allie from TNA, who came in with the Butcher and the Blade as the Bunny.
Yeah.
And now Allie is no longer the Bunny. She is just Allie in the Nightmare Sisters. Oh, by the way, Mark, quick question. Do you think they ever told us why she's no longer the Bunny? You think they ever gave us a reason? No, it's not on Dark. It's not on their TV show.
Rabbit's foot?
Mark, going
they
back to
didn't
storytelling, we have no idea why Allie is now all of a sudden back to her happy, bubbly self and in a tag team with Brandy Rhodes. We don't know why.
Prozac is good drugs.
Psychedelic mushrooms.
Oh my God! I just
yeah, that could be.
enough. And then.
The Mad Hatter.
Oh my God. Anyway, and then Jesse, you can argue this next point all you want, but then the next point, I have nothing for it. The mid card of AEW, it's non-existent. It doesn't exist. There's no such thing as it. Forget it. It's the freaking tag team division, the women's division, and then it's the dudes at the top for the heavyweight title. There's no mid card. I am not done. You
let me jump. Well, you
gotta
let me jump in at some
turn off your
point.
microphone.
You gotta let me jump in at some point. Here.
Cody Rhodes, going back to Mark's point,
Isn't he just a mid card?
No.
He had the TNT Championship is technically the mid-card belt.
So
But
now Cody wins the
That's
TNT Championship.
Which is uglier than the 24.
It is ugly as hell,
yeah. But Mark, so Cody wins the
ugly.
television title. He went 3 weeks, didn't defend it on TV. So why is it called the TV title? Doesn't make any sense. Now, hold on. He has decided that he's going to open challenge all these times. But are they open challenging any of the 86 guys they signed? It's new guys every week. And now they've got some dude called Warhorse, who apparently you know on the internet, but AEW fans don't know because they don't know who the f*** he is.
I don't know who he is.
No one knows who he is.
I know who he is because I used to watch Ring of Honor, but
it's that thing that they used in the old times, you know, the thing.
That's a Trojan horse, sir. That's a Trojan horse.
Mark.
That's when I was young, as Zach would say.
You left WWE. You won the 10 pounds of gold, the same title your daddy made famous, just to become the mid-card guy in TNA.
And have a
whatever,
weird
TNT, I don't give it. But now you're on top of the mid card. You're supposed to be one of the top wrestlers in the world. Now you're no better than the mid card, which again you've already pointed out he wasn't much better than in WWE. But he's basically become exactly what you said.
Because what did he win in the WWE? Like the European title, a
No,
tag title.
so he was a Intercontinental champion.
There was no European title.
But when he was in there, everyone got to win the Intercontinental Championship.
That's true. That's true.
It was
passed around like hot potato. But anyway, so now we get to.
He got that tattoo now too.
Yeah, he's got the neck tattoo. But anyway,
like
Jesse.
American
But
flag
see,
in Alabama
to
or
Jesse,
be fair with the TNT Championship,
you can't defend the
when
fact.
When it started, it was the younger guys. It was Jack. It was Jack Perry.
Started? You mean for 3 weeks?
For like a month. It was bad. It was
That's
bad.
not much better.
But so in the last month, it's been awful because you got which was nice to see Eddie Kingston
in the last
on
3 months.
the last match.
Eddie Kingston deserved a chance, but the problem with me is that Eddie Kingston is an 18-year veteran. He wasn't on the rock. Oh, no, hold on, Mark. We're gonna talk about Eddie Kingston, who's had the best match with Cody since this whole thing started. But no, here's what pisses me off. Excalibur, who we're going a lot longer on this show, folks. So buckle up. Right. Here's the deal.
Crap.
So anyway, Excalibur turned around and he's talking about he's known Eddie Kingston for like 17 of the 18 years Eddie's been in here. He's talking about how Eddie Kingston had to sell his wrestling boots, during the pandemic because he didn't have enough money. But then, which is great. You're building Eddie to this sympathetic guy. It's great. Excalibur's finally doing his job right. Then comes Excalibur, who can't help but puke out of his own mouth in the middle of every segment. Because guess what he says right after this? He says, well, Eddie Kingston had to borrow wrestling boots before he signed for this match tonight. Mind you, according to what they said before the match, Eddie Kingston is not signed. He's trying to win to become a member of the AEW roster, and now there's a giant hashtag out, and all their fans are like, sign Eddie, sign Eddie. He's already signed according to Excalibur. You broke kayfabe right there on television, you idiot. So screw the mid-card. It doesn't By the way, the mid-card is stuck with dudes like Joey Janela.
Okay, Joey Janela is not a mid-carder in AEW.
Hold on.
He was put in a match with Lance Archer, which he should have been completely squashed.
Can I point something out?
But he was mostly squashed.
Can I point something out, Mark? I actually, for this show, went to pro AEW chat rooms. On Facebook, on Reddit, all these places. I checked.
They're already really are those?
They exist.
How are you not like drooling and like?
Prozac's a hell of a drug. But anyway, Jesse, as someone who has kind of enjoyed AEW, you are on the same bandwagon with me though. That here's the deal, Mark. There is no one. and I repeat, no one that I have found on the internet, no one likes Joey Janela. He's on almost every week. He's on Dark. He's on Dynamite.
Yeah.
No one wants him. Everybody says, why is this guy on my TV? No one knows why he's making six figures. But this guy is on AEW weekly. He looks like a bum. He looks like a cracked out dude you find out on the boardwalk. And he gets booked against big top talent, even though no one in AEW, also known as all-inclusive wrestling, because everyone gets a chance, nobody wants him. But they keep he has more go-home heat than anyone has ever had in this business. And what pisses me off the most is, what I'm saying about him, it means nothing. He has actually pretty much admitted that he is the only guy in the history of the business that if he is ever going down as the worst ever, he's happy. As long as you talk about him, he's happy. He doesn't care about anything. He doesn't want to be taken seriously. He could be the worst wrestler ever, but at least you're saying his name. He doesn't want to get better. This guy is a complete shit show, but he's happy about it. Jim Cornette had the best example. Have you ever seen It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia? Yeah. Remember the episode where they all did LSD and they thought they were putting on this amazing stage play, but they were just yelling on stage?
That's what I think most days of myself, yes.
But Mark, that is literally Joey Janela's wrestling career. It's what he thinks he does versus what I sadly have to sit through. I skipped, by the way, Lance Archer, who used to be Lance Hoyt in TNA, he's 6'8", 270, had an amazing G1 tournament after back surgery.
That was last year, yeah.
Yeah, Lance Archer is known as the Murder Hawk. Everyone dies. His manager is the evil Jake the Snake Roberts. So you can't get a much better manager for a guy who's trying to be a murder
Does
hawk.
Jake still bring out the snake?
Once in a while,
yep.
Yes. But here's the deal. Jake the Snake Roberts with Lance Archer, they couldn't beat this Joey Janela guy in a minute. They got a commercial break out of Lance Archer versus Joey Janela.
That was bad booking.
Oh, by the way, you saw the match. I told you about the match. How, by the way, Joey Janela, because he's the
I got a little
hardcore guy,
sick to my stomach.
Joey Janela gets a table out. It's not a hardcore match. It's a regular wrestling match. The referee doesn't count him out, even though he was outside the ring for over a minute. The referee takes 3 minutes to get to a 5 count. I don't know what they can count in AEW. But so Lance Archer puts Joey Janela through the table. The referee's standing there watching it. He doesn't call for a disqualification. It's not a hardcore match.
It's a regular match.
It's a regular match. All the rules in place. You have a 10 count to get disqualified when you have guys like in the ropes and stuff, so they've changed that. But nobody counts anyway. The referees are counting to 2 when the guys are still going.
And JR is always constantly calling
and
out.
And JR constantly has to remind us there's a 10 count because the referees never get to 2 before the guys are there for 5 minutes. But the fact is that, Matt, no, okay, so here's the deal. Call it. They DQ Lance Archer. Lance Archer's got heat. He's a bad guy.
Yeah.
Joey Janela's not the bad boy. Joey Janela's a sympathetic guy for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But no, Lance Archer gave him his finisher through the table, rolls him back in the ring. Referee counts 3. Mind you, on camera, the referee, mind you, you have Jake the Snake out there. Jake the Snake could have distracted the referee while he put him to the table. No! Joey Janela was in full view of the referee when he fell through the table, but we're just going to keep going because that's what you told me to do in the back, is just count the end of the match.
You know why?
3 blind mice.
You know why Joey's?
like
You know why
9.
Joey's on TV? He's giving favors to the.
He's gotta be.
He has to
because
be. He's
Jesse,
on his knees with some.
Nobody.
He's on his knees with somebody.
Joey Janela is not defendable.
No
Was
one
Cody?
wants. Oh, by the way.
Or the
Mark.
Bucks?
He gave a promo one week about how he's going to face Ray Phoenix from like Lucha Underground because they have the Lucha Brothers in AEW. Ray Phoenix got hurt on AEW Dark. So guys that you booked to try to sell tickets the next week, they're still on Dark. And they're in hardcore situation. Joey Janela, this loser we've been talking about, he was in a hardcore match with Kenny Omega, not on live TV. You didn't put the greatest wrestler in the world supposedly on live television. You put him on your YouTube channel. After everything happened.
Hey man, it's all about the gram.
Dude, can we kill Joey?
Coke?
Oh, by the way, Mark.
That'll work too.
Mark,
Okay.
Joey Janela's not the most embarrassing thing on their television show. He's not.
No, it's always and will always be Cody.
Nope. Nope.
No, it's not Cody either.
Nope. When I say this name, I swear to God, if Jesse defends this guy, I'm going to knock Jesse's flat out.
He's going to try.
I don't care. The biggest embarrassment on this
You got
show.
a chair over there, yeah.
is Marco freaking Stunt.
Okay, I can't.
Marco
defend
Stunt is 5'2", 120 pounds.
Whack.
This is his that's his actual stat.
That's what they call him?
No.
I'm saying that's what they bill him as.
No, that's what he is.
I thought he was only like 98 pounds. I thought he was like the size of Rio.
He is in a group called the Jurassic Express with Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy Jack Perry, who is actually Luke Perry's son.
Yeah.
The guy could actually make a lot of money because he has his dad's genes in terms of acting. He sells well. He's a sympathetic babyface, and Luchasaurus is a big dude that can do
Really good
lucha
wrestler,
at 6'8".
Luchasaurus has always been
Right.
good because he was over in TNA or something.
And he also used to be on
Lucha
NXT.
Underground. Lucha Underground.
Yeah,
He was
Lucha
in
Underground
NXT
for a while,
But no,
yeah.
Mark. So they hang out with Marco Stunt. Marco Stunt is
He's their hornswoggle.
Yeah, but here's the deal.
Yeah, that's about right.
What is wrestling? It's babyface versus heel. It's good guys versus bad guys. Whenever the Jurassic Express is out there, when the referee's back is turned, Marco Stunt, who's supposed to be with the babyface team, he drop kicks the guys. And by the way, it's not because the guys hit Marco Stunt during the match. It's not because they made fun of him. It's not because he's retaliating. Okay, look, if a babyface wants to outnumber a heel and they want to go after a heel behind the referee's back, if the heel did something to them earlier in the show, I'm fine with that. Nope, referee's distracted, Marco Stunt's in the ring. I don't know why he's in the ring. The dude's giving Canadian destroyers to people off of the top rope into a pile of guys. And by the way, Jesse, you can't defend this either. If you watch closely, when Marco Stunt does the Canadian destroyer onto 4 guys, you can see the 4 guys standing there, looking at each other, and then looking up, putting up their hand,
Waiting for
preparing
the
for
spot, yeah.
this.
Instead of just taking
It doesn't just happen. They're cooperating, but they're showing you on television. And actually, don't even lie to me. One time it was either Nick or whatever the other buck is. It was either Matt or Nick Jackson. Legitimately, while he was waiting for someone to fall off a ladder, he winked at the camera.
That was at the pay-per-view. No, that's not defendable.
You wink.
That's not defendable.
These guys have made a mockery of wrestling to the point where, guess what? We're all here to have fun. It has to be silly. It has to be goofy. Quick question. Lance, okay, I give you Marco Stunt versus Lance Archer. 6'8", 280 pounds. Marco Stunt, I gave you his things. How long is that match?
Depends how long it takes big guy to grab little guy. But
They gave them 15 minutes on live national television. He couldn't beat Marco Stunt in a minute. So quick question, Jesse. They've killed Lance Archer as a heel. If you can't beat Marco Stunt in a minute, how are you supposed to beat anybody else in this roster?
I think your hatred is coming through because he beat. I can say the A word real quick. He beat his ass for 15 minutes.
It doesn't matter.
So, but
Marco
he
Stunt,
didn't lose any heel heat.
Look up Marco Stunt. Look up Marco Stunt right
now.
now.
He completely beat his ass for 15 minutes.
But the problem is that it's
And
still.
he should have been dead.
But Jesse.
Yeah, he shouldn't be back the next week or none of that. I agree that, and he was, and that's terrible booking. That's terrible booking.
But Jesse, you come out, Lance Archer does a few moves, and he beats him in a minute and a half.
It should have been like a minute and a half.
15 minutes?
Like
he went through a commercial break with his crap.
He basically like tossed him around for I'll admit, after like 5, I'm like, all right, this is boring now.
They call him on the internet, and they should call him on the show Marco Stunted Growth because the dude friggin' he looks like a small. Oh, by the way, Mark,
He looks like a child.
Mark. Okay, so you're looking at him right now.
Getting there.
Okay, here's what pisses me off the most. After Marco Stunt was in the All-In Battle Royal, it was tweeted out, and Chris Jericho gave his endorsement. This is where Chris Jericho lost me in All Elite. He said, "Way to go, kid. People said I was too small, and people were comparing him to Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio was a once-in-a-lifetime generational talent that is an absolute badass."
He looks like Carrot Top before the steroids.
Thank you! But no, Jesse, they're giving Marco Stunt a legitimate chance to show what he can do versus a 6'8" murder hawk.
It should have been like...
Who's the blade-looking dude?
Actually, Marco Quinn is a part of a tag team called Private. They're actually really, really good. They're a bit green.
Private Party... Wait, no, okay, it's good you said it. Hold on a sec. Okay, so we're going to leave the mid-card, which I said no longer exists.
Yeah.
Now we're into the tag team division. Booked by the Young Bucks. Now, this tag team division, in my opinion, name recognition alone on the indies, phenomenal. Best Friends, Pride and Powerful, which used to be the new LAX. You've got the Young Bucks. You've got the Lucha Brothers, who, by the way, Mark, Chris Jericho had to go to the Lucha Brothers backstage. He had to tell them how to do tag team wrestling. because the Lucha Brothers weren't tagging in and out because that's how Lucha works. So they were burying the referee. They still don't tag out. They still don't do it. Chris Jericho's conversation, which Chris Jericho confirmed happened, didn't land, didn't work. Nobody gives a shit. Now they've got FTR, who may be the best tag team in the world.
And
Mark, Leroy,
do I let them know why they call him FTR? Fuck the Revival. Yeah, I got mine in now.
Cody Rhodes said it.
I got mine in
Cody
now.
Rhodes said it on an episode of Being the Elite, which is the Young Bucks YouTube show. He said it once, and then it was a running joke, and it was a joke for like 4 or 5 years. But Mark, so now Bucks, FTR, you can get money. They hate each other. FTR's free agents. Bring them into AEW. Guess what they do? They bring them in as friends. They bring them in as everyone's cool with each other. They go into an 8-man tag team match. And by the way, what was the Revival in WWE? No fists or no flips, just fists. Now they're flying. Now they're trying to fit in with these idiots. They are so far beyond what they should have been. They should have come into AEW. They should have looked everyone in the face. Oh God, her.
Abaddon.
She's on Dark.
I know she made her main roster debut a couple weeks ago. She'll be on Dark on Tuesday.
Okay, hang on.
She's actually worth them booking. She's a bit green. She used to be
the whole roster's greener than goose shit.
But
like Hulk Bananas.
But to be fair, unless they were signing guys like WWE did, where they waited for guys from like New Japan or something to leave.
Karu Shida's the current women's champion.
She's really good. Used to be in Shimmer. She's really good.
Hold on. All right, Mark, stop looking at the roster because now I have to tell you about the tag team division. Mark's looking up and down the AEW roster. He doesn't know any of these people. Anyway, all right. So Leroy has yet to find out this information, but apparently.
Oh yeah, I'm still doing research.
Okay.
It's intensive.
He has had to go to the friggin' books you found in the Last Jedi movie to find out this information. But I didn't know this about tag.
It's in the first tower.
There we go.
Oh, thank you. I will look at her next.
I learned from AEW Fighter Fest with a Y, not Fighter Fest with a Y. I learned that apparently, if you're in a tag team match, especially an 8-man tag team match, if you tag a guy, he gets in the ring, he can then tag your third partner, and now you're all legal. I learned that in AEW because they were all legal. Mark. So okay, one of the Bucks tags
kind of like partner swapping.
Mark, hold on, Mark.
Yeah.
A buck tagged in. I think it was Cash.
I think it was Cash. Yeah.
Then Cash tags in Dax. Dax immediately turns around, tags in the other Buck, and then the Buck tags in the Buck that already tagged out the first 3 guys beforehand. Now, but hold on.
So $1 for 3, huh?
Yep. But no,
yeah.
Mark, guess what? The referee's not counting to 10 for disqualification. They're all legal now. The referee's not counting anyone out. Yeah. They're all legal. The referee is sitting there not doing anything, even though 4 guys are beating up on one. Mind you, they're the baby faces. But the referees are more buried in this than anybody. Referee Aubrey. Oh, by the way,
she's the only one that actually ever.
By the way, Referee Aubrey has heat with Chris Jericho. Do you want to know why? Because apparently during the Stadium Stampede, which was the biggest load of shit I ever saw in this.
I didn't actually watch it.
So anyway,
you didn't miss anything.
It was the Inner Circle versus the Elite, 5-on-5 in a Stadium Stampede match, which took place in the Jacksonville Jaguars Stadium. Apparently, Chris Jericho goes for a cover on one of the Young Bucks. It's a 2 count. He gets up. He's arguing the count with referee Aubrey. You got me so far because that's what a heel should do. He challenges the pin. He throws a red flag down. Referee Aubrey goes into a blue tent to look at the replay. Chris Jericho joins her, and they're arguing over a 3 count on replay.
I gotta admit that's kind of funny because it plays into the fact
But
that
Jesse,
they were in a
that's
football
my
stadium.
point. Everything on this show has to be wink, wink,
Yeah,
nudge, nudge.
and it should be
Everything
taken
has to be a joke.
seriously, yeah.
You can't take anything
Because that was a blood feud, and that should have been.
Cody's stuff is taken seriously because Cody presents it
Yes,
seriously.
yes, he does.
But the problem is that every other idiot that's booking this thing has to put comedy in.
You can't really take him seriously though without listening to that tattoo. I mean,
No, you just
you hear him talk with that tattoo, and you go.
By the way, okay.
How many times did your father drop you on
Yep,
your head before you?
By the way, now I'm going to say some things that since you consistently watch AEW, I would like you to respond to. Mark, quick question: is anyone in your opinion, over in this company?
Probably.
That.
In his opinion, sorry.
I
go
will
ahead.
get to you, sir.
No, because even people that were over before they went in there buried their careers. Like I said, John Mox,
Yep.
one of my favorite guys, had a great run for the last
Did
5-6 years.
Yeah.
Did you hear about John's most recent match in AEW?
I don't think I want to.
Okay, no, hold on.
No,
They
you don't.
book him against Brian Cage.
Oh yeah.
Hold on. Great build. Brian Cage looks great. Brian Cage is unbeaten going into the match. By the way, I have a bone to pick with you about Dark in a second. So, Brian Cage goes into this match. Because Moxley couldn't go to Fyter Fest Night 2, he was on Fight for the Fallen the next week because of Renee Young being sick. Hold on. So now Moxley shows up. Moxley is out intensifying Brian Cage, who is now the FTW champion.
Yeah.
Taz gave him the belt. He's supposed to be this giant 6-foot muscled up badass, a machine, and John Moxley's more intense than he is. Pull it back, Mox. Pull it back. Then, by the way, Brian.
Then I'd say Cage should step up because Mox has always been kind of stupid and intense.
Let me tell you how the match ends. Brian Cage gets put in an Fujiwara armbar. Is that what it was?
Yeah, because he had been working
Okay.
on the arm that got torn last year, which is why he actually delayed his.
Brian
debut.
Cage was delayed in AEW because he had a torn bicep. So Moxley puts on the Fujiwara armbar, and by the way, may I say, for an uncomfortably long time. so long that if you're giving me a sports-based presentation, you would think it's either torn off or his arm is floating in the wind. It's on for so long, you can tell it's fake. That's what pisses me off. You're not even trying to present it as real. Then, guess how it ends? Cage doesn't tap. Taz threw in the towel. That's how your world title match ends. And they're like, we gave Cage an out. He looks strong. He got beat up by a dude that's 100 pounds lighter than he is.
Once again, I will reiterate, I've seen how big Cage is. That's like Rey Mysterio beating up on Brock.
Cage is actually only 6 feet tall.
Yeah, but
he's
probably as wide as he is.
He's short and he's like this
yeah,
wide.
romantic. But hold on. You didn't give him an out. You made him look like a prick. You made him look like an idiot.
And then the explanation last week was
if
not
the big
good.
musclehead guy can't beat up on a skinny guy and has to throw in the towel, that's not a good fight. That
So
means the guy
I
is
do want to argue a little bit.
Go ahead.
Because
Go ahead.
the ending, you're absolutely right on. Because I'm like they're not going to take the title off of Moxley. To me, this is where I think.
But this is how you book that.
But
Hold on.
here's what I was going to say though. Here's what I was going to say.
This is how you book that, though. You make Moxley win on a fluke. You don't make Moxley look better.
Or you get Brian Cage to screw up when Taz is trying to distract the
Which
ref,
is
and then
fine,
you get him DQ'd or
he beat
something.
him clean.
So
Once
here
again, they make the big guy
was the
clumsy.
thing up until that ending was that it was actually a good match because
No, it wasn't. John Moxley had a match in the ring for more
Brian
than 2 minutes.
Cage was made to look. That match went like 20 minutes.
Yeah, but they were in the ring for like 4 of it. There's no
But-
10 count.
They were
They
technically.
still don't know how to count
They
to
still
10.
can't count the 10.
They were actually in the ring for most of the
One.
match. You really hate AEW, and that's okay.
Oh, my God. No.
But
I'll
up until that ending, it was a good match. The throwing in the towel was terrible because in the next week you got one of the worst.
I didn't say that. Did I say it? Go on.
Because basically up until that ending, you got one of the best matches you probably would have seen out of John Moxley in a
That's
long,
not high
long time.
praise for a
me?
John Moxley match.
But to me, him being the champion is probably one of the better things they did. They had no choice.
Quick question. You want to list off the AEW World Champions since we've had this show?
So-
No. List them. List them.
Chris Jericho, John Moxley,
Where did Chris Jericho and John Moxley originate from?
WWE.
So let me get this straight. You're trying to be the alternative, but the only dudes that are currently being booked to look good are Cody Rhodes, John Moxley, Chris Jericho, Jack Hager's there, by the way, in the inner circle.
Oh, I saw that too.
Oh,
'cause,
hold on.
he was a good wrestler when he was in the
Wait, hold
WWE too.
on. Who's the leader of the Dark Order? Brody Lee. Who was Brody Lee before he got there? He was Luke Harper in the WWE. The only thing that this has proven to me, throughout this first 9 months is that these guys who talk shit about WWE and said, hey, all this stuff was gimmicky, they wanted us to be jokes, they wanted us to be funny, They are proving one thing and one thing only.
Vince was right?
No. What they're proving is they didn't care that the WWE stuff was funny and gimmicky. They just wanted to be the ones doing it. Cody Rhodes didn't give a damn about being taken seriously like his father. He just wanted to be put in the damn Randy Orton's seat. He didn't care about looking like Dusty Rhodes. He wanted to get paid like Dusty Rhodes. You can't sit here and tell me that these guys have grown any. No one is more over. No one's more over. They're all the same. Here's the deal. First of all, the only people who are watching this show now are the same people that were going to watch it to begin with. Nobody's made to look better. No one's a bigger star. They're over with their fans. And what pisses me off the most is every single guy in this company, I'm just supposed to know. There's no explanation.
Semi-evil, quasi-evil, the margin of evil.
Listen, the worst thing that they did, because like you said in the beginning, people were lied to, which is why when I remember you were more hyped than I was.
I was actually into
you
I
were
was
into
promoting
it.
I bought AEW shirts.
Yeah, I was not. I was skeptical because I'm like, listen, you're not gonna when you aim this high, you better go for the head. That's the old saying. When you aim for the king, you better take his head. And the first thing I heard was that when they decided to put their main show. Their main show was going to be on Wednesday. I knew. I'm like, I'm not gonna take them as a challenge at WWE because you didn't even want to do the ballsy thing and go on freaking.
But
Monday.
here's what bothers me: if I make Mark watch the first 3 weeks of TV, which were the highest rated shows, as we've proven, Mark is not going to be explained why this guy does this, why that guy does that.
No,
Mark
terrible.
Mark is supposed to come in and he's supposed to know every single guy because Mark should have been on the internet for 3 years. The fans are the internet fans. They're not explaining why they're doing this. Oh, by the way, quick question: who is one of the most famous guys that Stone Cold ever tagged and had a rivalry with?
Brian Pillman.
Okay. You and Leroy especially will remember. Brian Pillman, what did Brian Pillman do at his house when Stone Cold tried to break in? What was that segment?
He was packing heat.
He had a gun. So Brian Pillman, who we all miss to this day,
Amen.
rest in peace, Brian. His son, Brian Pillman Jr., is now in wrestling. He's also in AEW.
Yeah,
now hold on. 2 weeks ago, Cody Rhodes said on Twitter, and this was real because it was Twitter. I am so excited. We finally have a Pillman back on TNT. Great, very sentimental. I love it. But now you have one of the biggest names from the Attitude Era and even beforehand, Brian Pillman. Whether Brian Pillman won a title or not,
Flying Brian Pillman.
we all remember Flying Brian. So now you have his son. You have all the hype in the world. You have a golden nugget that you can create into a piece of diamond.
Star.
But here's the deal. His first debut match, it's on Dark. It's on their YouTube show. Oh, by the way, quick question. What happened in that match?
He lost that match.
And then he got squashed by Cage. So Brian Pillman has already looked like a douchebag from the start because they booked him like a loser. And I feel bad because Brian Pillman Jr. is actually good.
Really good wrestler. A really good wrestler.
So you've dropped the ball on everyone, and the best chance you've had in homegrown talent because he already had. And by the way, WWE has never touched Brian Pillman Jr. They don't know Brian Pillman Jr. You could build a guy from scratch. You've killed him.
Well, Triple H did try to sign him, but he decided to stay in MLW.
Does AEW have Detroit Lions front office people in there?
You would think.
Pretty darn.
To me, the worst thing about AEW, before we kind of get off the AEW subject,
we're not done. We're not done. I don't give a damn.
I think the worst thing, and it's the only way it kind of gets guys like yourself, maybe, and you guys back on, is Cody and those guys are going to really have to just take a look in the mirror and be like, listen, we can't book these. We just need to get guys who can do it.
But here's the deal. They got better after one of their pay-per-views. They were like, okay, so for their first year on TV, I actually gave them I think it was a 6 or a 7 out of 10. That's on record. It's in the lounge.
Okay.
But here's why. Because after the New Year's episode,
which was good,
they started booking the same 12 guys every week, and they kept the rest of the 86 off. The problem is that now, for some strange reason, they decided to turn around and say, we're going to put these same guys back on TV that were killing us to begin with. Now, we're going to move on to Dark, because we've mentioned before. AEW Dark, in my opinion, is one of the most genius things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
This is what I think Vince fails with on the network. The network, if you got 6 guys in catering that ain't doing shit, you buy the plane ticket, you send them to Stamford, Connecticut, where your studio is. You give them a week, and you tell every single one of them, each of you gets a film crew. Give me 6 shows. Give me 6 shows. Make your own show. Give me 6 episodes. Put them on the network. Doesn't cost you a dime. You own the damn thing. And people can decide if they like someone or not. And then when they go on TV, you know who they are.
Yeah.
If I was with this company, I would say, give me AEW Dark, tell me who I'm allowed to use, and then shut the hell up and stay in Tony Khan's office with your pants off, because that's what you guys are doing. But it's used so improper because, again, you are using up talent, guys who are already over with your audience. Yeah. They're on it. They shouldn't be. It should be developmental. You should be premiering guys who are eventually going to get on TV. And by the way, why is Kenny Omega 4 weeks into this program facing Joey Janela, who the only time we saw him in the first 4 weeks got hit from behind by his ex-girlfriend, Kip Sabian? Why is he on AEW Dark facing the supposed best wrestler in the world?
I think they literally did
in a hardcore match.
Yeah, I think they did that
he was on his knees again.
I don't know.
I think they literally did that for ratings.
And then of course, Ray Phoenix is now produced to face Joey Janela on the next Dynamite. And then all of a sudden, I read the day after Dynamite. And by the way, which is weird because Dark is filmed on Tuesday instead of
Dark used to basically Dark when they were live was filmed after Dynamite. Yeah,
but that's what I thought always.
Yeah, but it's on Tuesday on YouTube.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. We turned around, we booked Ray Phoenix, we booked Joey Janela. Joey Janela gave a shitty promo about how he's going to beat up Ray Phoenix, and Ray Phoenix is going to lose to the bad boy. You're laughing because that's how he does it.
It's bad.
But here's the deal. I read the very next morning, Ray Phoenix is out of his next match with Joey Janela because he got hurt on Dark. If you're a booker and you've booked a match for TV, you've put time and money and effort into it, you don't freaking book the guy on Dark. And also, why does Ray Phoenix need to get over with your fan base? Ray Phoenix is one of the best luchadors in the world.
I know. I love him.
He doesn't need to be on Dark. And by the way, AEW television has 1.42 1,000 subscribers. That's a decent audience.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh,
but Dark is so bad.
At
Excalibur's an idiot. He shouldn't be talked about.
Yes, yeah, he is an idiot.
I mean, the best thing that they did recently...
And he's got
Put him back in the
Taz.
stone, and
Quick
hopefully
question.
somebody will pull him out.
Mark.
Yeah.
So Taz is Cage's manager, right? I'm supposed to take Taz seriously. Taz comes out. He's Taz from ECW. He says, "You WWE." He puts the middle finger up. He doesn't care. He builds Cage. I wish Cage was standing in front of him like Brock stands in front of Paul.
Yeah, I do too.
I don't like that switch, but okay, I can live with it.
Yeah.
But here's the because Cage can't talk right now. I mean, that's not been Cage's strong suit. It's different in Lucha Underground because that was all cinematic. They could take four or five takes to get it right.
Yeah.
But you can't do that on live TV. But here's the deal. Taz commentates on AEW Dark with Excalibur. But he's not the Taz that's with Cage. He's the Taz that was with Michael Cole. So it's two different characters on two different shows that are in the same company.
And unfortunately, only recently has he started to be heel.
Too.
And then unfortunately, in the last
more.
2 weeks, has he only been the heel Taz commentator that he should have been when
But
they
here's the
brought him
deal.
back.
But here's the deal. What I love is this. In New Japan Pro Wrestling, Rocky Romero was commentating with Kevin Kelly.
Kevin Kelly, and I forget the British dude's name.
Anyway, but Kevin Kelly and Rocky Romero were commentating the American Access TV version of New Japan Pro Wrestling.
New Japan World.
Rocky Romero was openly Bullet Club. So he commentated as if he was a member of the Bullet
Chaos.
Well, now he's Bullet Club.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're good. But anyway, so Mark,
I was letting you know.
But Mark, Rocky Romero is admittedly part of a faction in New Japan, correct? So, when Taz was in TNA and we did this crazy stuff, I mean, with aces and eights, we turned around and he was openly aces and eights. And but it's just Taz. But Taz isn't openly about Cage. He's just himself. I don't get it.
I don't get it.
Why is but Mark, you see the disconnect.
Well, it's, Easiest said, of course, just to ease the pain. It's they don't have good writers. They don't have good storylines.
There
So
are no
everything they do
writers.
is
It's the Young Bucks writing the whole thing.
It's going to be confusing. It's going to be up in the air. It's going to be like, why did they do that? Because all they're literally doing is just putting matches. It's like, oh, I think those two should be put together. It's literally.
And by the way,
they'd have a better chance of putting words on a wall, and throwing darts at them to make up their story.
But anyway, here's how you book a match. You book two guys. You give them an agent. The agent sits down. It's usually a wrestler from days past who knows what he's doing, and the guys bounce ideas off of him. And the guy tells him, this is what I think would work, this is what I don't like, here's what you should do. But AEW just is like, you guys are together, go out, you got 15 minutes, do everything you ever did in your entire indie career in 15 minutes.
I can do 6 flips and a kick.
So now we're going to get to the end, and this is where I will, and I wrote on here in big bold letters, I'm showing everyone. What does it say, gentlemen?
Try and be nice.
Okay. I'm going to end the show by trying to be nice.
I don't know if that's humanly
why
possible.
Would you do that? That's not you.
After we've been ripping on them for
Hang on it.
25
Hang on
minutes, maybe longer.
As Jesse said, I don't know if you'll find someone who was more hyped about AEW than me, and he knows it. In the lounge, I was promoting them. I was saying, "Let's go! Can't wait!" I watched Dynamite from start to finish. I was actually, I was excited, but then the wrestling fan inside of me that likes storytelling, that likes stuff that makes sense,
Saw the problems.
finally came out. And realized, look, I love the indies, and I realized that in the indies you have to do something crazy every night because you don't know if you're going to get booked again with that company. The problem is this is going to be on every Wednesday. It's a guarantee. You can tell a story, but instead you're like instant gratification. Here's a match. Here's a match. Here's a match. Nothing's being told. No one is trying to build a star. No one knows how. No one is more over, and it's just at the end of the day, their fans are loyal regardless of what they do. You people out there who love Spot Monkey, you only wanted an alternative to WWE, and that's what you got, and that's why you're happy.
They're also Detroit Lions fans.
Well,
there's no happiness there.
Well, there's that. But the thing about it is that I want this to be better. And they have glimpses of talent that they can grow, that they can turn into good. But the problem is that every time I get a decent Jon Moxley segment followed by a good Cody Rhodes segment, then the Bucks gotta come in and turn it into a schizophrenic car wreck.
They'll be good in 4 years when Vince buys them.
Jim Cornette said it best. WrestleMania 41's card is currently in AEW, screwing up on the Wednesday night. But Darby,
a very good chance.
But Darby Allin's got talent.
Oh, yeah.
Private Party. I think it's Isaiah Quinn or
Marco Quinn to get the
yeah, Quinn. Mark, go and watch some Private Party. They got talent up the wazoo.
Yeah.
The problem is they're trained by indie idiots, so they're like, all of our talent should go into nothing but dangerous flips. They don't know how to tell a story in the ring. They're green as goose shit. They're basically kind of a dumbed down. By the way, Justin Roberts can suck my dick.
I'm shocked. You know what? I'm shocked he's not fired.
Justin Roberts had allegations apparently during the Speak Out movement. They sent him home for like 2 weeks, and now he's back.
Yeah.
But anyway, here's the deal. Justin Roberts announces the way he wants, and they're not giving him any prompts. He just does what he wants. When Jon Moxley comes out, he says John, and he holds Moxley, I'm not joking, for 45 seconds. He holds it for 45 seconds. That's an actual time that I've timed. I don't know. It's impressive, but I don't know why. When Private Party comes out, they are booked as from a location where you need an invitation, weighing in at 24 and a half vodka cranberries. Like, what are we doing? It doesn't make any sense.
Anybody have little crostini sandwiches?
I don't.
They might.
But anyway, I'm gonna wrap this up, and this will be the end of the show. We've gone a little longer than we have, but it's fine. We usually try to go a bit, but we cut off. I want them to be better in 5 years, but the problem is that you've shown me nothing that shows me you can do better than this. And in 5 years, TNT is going to come back with an offer similar. You're going to look them in the face and said, I think we deserve more money. And TNT's not going to give you more money. You're not going to get what you think you're worth. And then all of a sudden, TNT's going to cut you some other channel, and it's just going to be Impact all over again. You're going to leave the network that you lost ratings for. And remember, NXT will give them the ratings war some weeks because remember, what does Vince do after big pay-per-views? 1 or 2 weeks, he takes off. Everything's calm. We're not building new stories.
MTV2 may need programming by then.
Yeah, they might be.
But the problem is that TNA went from Spike to Destination America to Pop TV to Twitch, and now they're on Access. You fell apart because the ratings died. You're good for a short period of time, but if you don't evolve, if you don't adapt, and hate Vince or not, he adapts to what the and remember, this is why people hate Vince consistently. Vince doesn't care about the fans who've already watched. He's trying to get newer fans. He's trying to build an entertainment style thing. So guess what? As Jim Cornette said during the Attitude Era when he worked for WWE, not WCW, he didn't care about the ratings because he said in the end, the better, more consistent program will eventually win out. And that is what I think will happen in 5 years if AEW doesn't get their shit together and realize that you are not in Japan anymore. You don't have to do crazy things to get the audience to react. They're an American audience. They're gonna cheer. You've watched Japanese baseball. You've watched Chinese basketball. The crowds are very quiet because Asian culture, you're respectful of the athletes. They're not going crazy except for maybe if an American guy goes over to Chinese basketball.
That, and if they don't listen, they get flogged.
Right.
Well, that too.
There's
yes.
that. But my point is, and I actually want a response from everybody here. I want them to be better. I don't want to come off as a hater. I'm just giving you my honest opinion and response of what I think I've seen. And what I've seen based on the good wrestling of the Golden Era, the Attitude Era, and even the Ruthless Aggression Era is no one's paying attention. No one is saying stop, hold on, save the big moves for when the money's there. Yeah. It's just big move, do everything you've ever done, and then we'll move on the next week. And your booking doesn't make sense. Nothing makes sense. It's more schizophrenic than Mark when he's super tired. And that's saying something.
I've only got 6 personalities.
Only 6?
Only 6.
Oh, dang.
But if I can get serious
I
for
left 4 at home.
Okay,
oh, okay, that's good.
But it's like if I can end this on a somewhat serious note, I don't want to be called a hater. I want wrestling to succeed. I want all wrestling to succeed. I want every company to be able to have a television show. But the problem is that I'm not going to sit there, and going back to the very beginning of my rant, I'm not going to sit there and be told something, be lied to, and then turn around and act like you're great just because. And by the way, I'm not going to give you rope to hang yourself with when you didn't give me rope to begin with. You told me from day one you were going to come out and you were going to be sports-based and alternative and you were going to kick their butt. And by the way, your first pay-per-view, what did Cody Rhodes do to take a shot at WWE? He took a sledgehammer and he broke a throne that had Triple H's stuff on it, okay? So you have told me you're better. You act like you're better. You talk like you're better. You're not better. Kenny Omega famously said, NXT guys, even Raw and SmackDown, I don't care about them because they're having matches that would open my show. And I'm like, so you're telling me that Rhea Ripley versus Io Shirai, which was a great match, by the way,
oh yeah,
isn't better than Joey Janela doing anything? You can't defend Joey Janela because you're paying his ass. So,
yep.
Mark, we'll get to Jesse in a second because Jesse's been the best arguer against me this whole time. But Mark and Leroy, based on everything I've said, and by the way, Jesse, have I honestly explained anything incorrectly?
No.
Okay,
No.
so even being the hater, the guy who's kind of pro AEW, thinks I've done this. But before I get to you guys, and this is what hurts me the most inside, and Jesse, I haven't told you this. So I'm out playing cards one night with some friends, and my friend Clara. Well, acquaintance. She doesn't wrestle. I'm a lot to handle, folks. I know this. It's hard to be friends with me. Mark's laughing.
Yeah, that's true.
We just haven't found the volume.
but anyway, the volume's gonna go down here.
I can do that here.
Well, hold on. The volume's gonna go down because this actually angers and saddens me. I mentioned to Allison we have to go watch AEW and NXT. Or we're missing because this was a Wednesday night. And Allison and I are talking, and Clara says, "Oh, are you talking about AEW?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah." And she goes, "God, I love that stuff." And I'm looking at myself like, okay, maybe I can get into the conversation. And then she proceeds to say the one thing that I don't like to hear in wrestling. Oh, it's great. Me and John sit there and laugh at it all the time. It's a great way to watch some comedy stuff. And that was verbatim what she said. And it's like, for a sport that I have traveled for, that I've hurt myself for, because trust me, folks, for those of you who never set up a ring, it ain't light, all right?
Oh,
That's
it's
dangerous.
Not, it's tough.
I have set up and taken down a ring 3 times in less than 24 hours in 2 different locations, 3 hours apart. It's painful. It's backbreaking. The road is tough, and these guys, break their necks for us. I don't want it to come off as that, but they don't know how to be serious. Everything has to have some humor, and I get comedy in wrestling. I'm not against it. I love Doink the Clown because it was a nice change.
One of the only clowns that doesn't scare me.
There you go. But
yeah.
anyway, that's why I'm so angry at Spot Monkey, is because I don't like to hear that from people, and I never want to hear that from anybody again.
Well, that's the thing. They should have the talent to make themselves better. They have the backing to make themselves better. They have a network.
You
that'll
have
let
no
them do
budget.
it.
You have a billionaire's check. Oh, by the way, going back to where they'll be in 5 years, if Shad Khan ain't seeing a nice little payback from this thing, he gonna look at his son and say, "Nope, pulling the plug," because it's not Tony Khan's money. It's Daddy's money. This is bad WCW, as Mark said off the air. This is TNA and Dixie Carter. It's just more budget. That's all it is.
All rolled into one.
It's Vicky Guerrero.
Who's now Nyla Rose's manager, by the way.
Yeah, she's on there now.
She's on there.
Yeah, she's
She's managing the Native American beast.
Yes.
See, because of that, I don't think I can ever watch AEW. I think my least favorite thing in wrestling ever, rest in peace, Eddie, but your wife is the most annoying voice I've ever heard.
I give her credit, though. I give her credit.
It
She made a career
Yeah.
for it.
No, that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
She is exactly what she portrays, but it's one of those things where I have to mute her when
Right.
she's on TV.
But anyway, so
Yeah.
Jesse, we'll finish up with you.
Yeah.
Leroy, Mark, what do you want to see in 5 years? Where do you see this in 5 years based on everything I've said? And by the way, the pro AEW guys pointed out I haven't lied once on this broadcast.
My honest hope for them was to be kind of like WCW was, but actually be a competition for the WWE. So there's never a stagnant thing. So there's competition. So both sides get better. Mm-hmm. So when contracts run out, there's an actual
Bidding war?
mystery of where is he going to sign? Is he going to stay with the WWE or is he going to go to AEW?
And by the way, I guarantee Vince McMahon, if he's watched an hour of this, or Triple H, if anyone in WWE has watched an hour of Dynamite, they're not worried. They don't give a shit. They're looking at this and saying, "This is our competition."
No, they're probably calling up, going, "Hey guys, do you want to borrow a couple of our writers for a little bit? I mean, we'll help you out." So there's some competition.
But it's just Triple H was professional the one time he mentioned AEW, but in the back of Triple H's head that NXT is going to win this war because NXT is going to be the more consistent show.
And I'll say this before we get out of here. I think the best way, and I've actually said it before on the boards, which the diehard AEW fans don't want to hear, but it's factual. They need to reconcile that relationship with New Japan to see if they can reborrow some of those writers,
and that's why
Kato.
And that's why the Good Brothers, by the way,
probably didn't sign with AEW.
No. They were going to sign with AEW because there was a plan, and then Vince offered them more money, and then we discussed how they got cut, yada yada. But here's the deal: I don't think the Good Brothers would have worked in AEW because they would have showed up. They would have realized that. By the way, New Japan tried to get Kenny Omega banned from entering Japan for 10 years. That's how pissed off they were when Kenny left. By the way, it's been confirmed. The only reason why Kenny Omega is on this show is because he wanted to stay in New Japan, but he wanted to work more with Riho. New Japan doesn't have a female division. And by the way, we were promised by Cody Rhodes and Kenny Omega another promise that was broken: intergender matches. And then Tony Khan goes on a podcast and says, "Yeah, we're not doing that." I wonder why TNA won't let you have violence against women. I wonder why. But just no. So anyway, go ahead.
But like I was saying, the best thing they can do to survive and be better in the next 5 years, one is to recultivate that relationship. I think the good thing for Kenny, which by the way, that story is crazy because They wanted him banned for doing AEW, but they wouldn't have cared if he would have went and signed to Connecticut when he was offered that original deal. That's an amazing thing.
But the difference is that remember, I think they would have been mad because remember, Kenny told you F you. He told New Japan to screw off because he couldn't work with Riho. New Japan is still Japanese style wrestling. It's a culture over there.
Which, of course,
they don't want women in the ring except for Stardom.
And then 2 or 3 months later, they bought Stardom, so now they're doing some of the female stuff.
But it's still Stardom on its own.
True.
New Japan is just the overall owner.
But I think, like I said, I think the big thing for AEW for the future, they need to recultivate that relationship, get some of those writers, and make that work. Because otherwise, I am with you, because like I said, unlike you, I was not super hyped when they announced. And even after all that, I'm like, what a great show, but it felt very indie. You cannot compete with a company like WWE putting on a show like that.
WCW tried to put on a serious program and still lost.
Yeah.
What does that tell you?
That Vince overall is still going to be the better storyteller. So what they need to do is recultivate that relationship, because I think the future is bright there if they can do that. I love a lot of the young talent, even though it's green, and like I said, I do believe now it's slowly getting better, but the slow part is for me the most disgusting thing, because they did promise you guys we were going to be better, and then they just weren't.
Ask Mark and Leroy. I work with both of them. Was I not hyping up this thing for the first couple of months?
Oh yeah, you were.
No, it actually got me excited for him, and then like I literally saw that first little bit, and I'm like, I've never. No.
I was defending Cody Rhodes to you. I will admit that. And I will eat the crow that was a dumb idea by me. Even though, sadly, like I said, he's the best thing going on the show. Because he tries to be Dusty. He tries to present his stuff. But by the way, if you want to be like your dad, you need to go, you need to get a seance or something and ask your dad. Because I guarantee you, your dad would not put half of this shit on television.
No.
He wouldn't. He'd
Nope.
put it on a live event and say, go entertain the kiddos.
Yeah.
But
This ain't going to where my sponsors are trying to pay me.
and by the way, this whole Chris Jericho is so desperate to win that he's like, we won the demo. Mountain Dew sponsored both nights of the Great American Bash for NXT. You don't think Vince ain't bringing in sponsors? I don't think he cares about demo here. And by the way, can I also point out, WWE beat you head-to-head when it was Great American Bash WWE versus Fyter Fest.
Yeah, they did.
It was head-to-head 2 weeks in a row. NXT won both weeks. And then next week was Fight for the Fallen, which is the charitable event that AEW does, but it's still pay-per-view. And you lost, and you're like, we got it back. You lost because it was night after a pay-per-view, and WWE is famous for taking a night off to build stories.
And
They gave it to you!
And the biggest reason why they lost and why NXT is better, and this is probably the overall thing, is NXT, the show, actually has seasoned guys on there. Yeah, it's supposed to be a developmental brand, but you're talking about Keith Lee, guy who's been around 15 years, Adam Cole, 12 years. Like, these guys have been around. They know the business. They listen to a guy, while he had a very awful run in 2006 as a heel champion, Triple H, who knows the damn business, loves it. So it's
You got William Regal down there.
Yeah, like
You've
guys
got-
who have been in the business
and not to
forever.
mention, like, at any point, Vince McMahon or Triple H whips open the phone. You got text messages to Shawn Michaels,
Yeah.
Mark Calloway, Kane, Ole or
Dwayne
Arn Anderson.
still-
Dwayne The
Dwayne
Rock
still
Johnson comes back
yeah.
once in a while. It's like, and by the way, going back to your point about Arn Anderson, he is now Cody Rhodes' coach. They're called coaches. But guess what? They've given Arn a mic twice. One of the greatest talkers in the business, part of the Four Horsemen. He's been allowed to talk twice. Jake the Snake Roberts has talked more, and Jake sadly gets 2.5 minutes.
And Jake, back in his heyday, should have never talked.
You still listen.
Oh yeah.
I like Jake as a talker, but that was more because of the whisper. It wasn't necessarily if it was on point. It was more because the whisper got me entangled. It was a lot like Ultimate Warrior, in the sense that it didn't make a lot of sense, but Jake whispered, so you kind of talk.
Well, Jake was actually nice to listen to. I don't know about Ultimate Warrior.
Ultimate Warrior is my favorite wrestler of all time.
Oh, really?
I love the Warrior, just because it's that sporadic. It's me and a wrestler.
Right, exactly. So anyway, Leroy, your final thoughts on the next 5 years of AEW?
If they don't change, they're done in 3. They're gone.
So you don't even think TNT is going to make... Because, okay, so Mark, in my opinion, how long does TNT think that? How long do you think TNT is going to give them before they have to see an uptick in ratings?
Second, one of their major sponsors pulls out, they're off TV. That's the way it's gonna
Really?
work. Yeah. First major sponsor that pulls, they're going to look and go, huh, that's not right. Then the second one's going to go because they're not changing
And the problem
stuff.
is that Vince, again, he put Roman Reigns in front of us, and whether we liked it or not, Roman Reigns can walk into a boardroom with Mountain Dew, with Coke, with Pepsi, and he's a good-looking dude. He's well-spoken. If they ever make Marco Stunt a champion, Pepsi gonna be like, well, we advertise the kids, but we don't need a kid to advertise for us. John Moxley, he can't advertise for anyone because
No.
John Moxley's too intense.
Duct
He likes deathmatch
Oh, yeah.
wrestling. Duct tape's about the only thing you can use. And then again, Chris
Maybe
Jericho.
Band-Aid.
And by the way, Chris Jericho, he won't be there throughout this contract. Chris Jericho's maybe got 2 more years there.
Well,
Do you really
technically,
think he's even got that?
well, I was going to say technically, whenever
Chris
we're
Jericho's
back
going to
to
do it just to spite somebody.
well,
I don't care
technically,
what you
whenever
say.
we're back to where he can do concerts, he's going to leave again. He's already said that.
So your biggest star is only there because he can't go do the other 40 things that he does in his life. Vince didn't need Chris Jericho, and Chris Jericho always admitted that. But AEW needs Chris Jericho because he's the only guy on the roster that can carry him. And by the way, one of the biggest guys you're building is Orange freaking Cassidy, who, whether you like the gimmick or hate the gimmick, I can't get into it. I'm not saying I hate it because I know he can go, but I don't like the stuff. He doesn't talk. You can't sell merchandise if you can't talk. And by the way, those aren't real blue jeans. They're sweats to make look like blue
I was about to
jeans.
say they're not real blue jeans, but to be fair, that towel sells, homie.
Anyway,
A lot of kids with that towel.
Mark, thank you. Jesse, it was a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
Loved being on here.
We'll get you guys on again. Mark, maybe we'll be a little more awake the next time because obviously...
Well, I think next week I don't have, or next couple weeks I don't have any 10-hour shifts going into.
Oh, that'd be
recording
good.
days,
We'll bring you
so-
on. Yeah, we'll bring you on. Jesse, of course, you're always welcome. I know we didn't get to a ton of topics, but I'm gonna be honest. Jesse, with you being here, Mark with you as well, I think that my review went a lot better than I expected because there was not only some pushback, but there were some people that were willing to sit there and honestly say, look. And by the way, I told Mark what I thought, but and I also explained certain segments. Now, the guy who is actually somewhat pro AEW, literally out of your mouth said, I didn't lie about a damn thing.
Yeah.
So what I said was exactly as it was seen by somebody who watched. So I never lied. For those of you out there who think that I had a bad review, I've been proven that I didn't lie.
No.
I just presented it a certain way. But...
It's only a bad review because they had bad product.
Exactly. But anyway, thank you guys so much. Real pleasure. Again, to all of us out there, like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube. We got some more stuff coming out there soon, really soon once we talk to some of the guys. Find us on podmatic.com. We're also on Spotify. You can subscribe to us on there. And we're also on iTunes as well. So, anyway.
Spotify is where I listen to you guys.
Yeah,
so.
okay,
Oh, yeah.
perfect. So anyway, listen to us on Spotify, and like I said, for anyone that listens out there, Leroy actually kept me up to date recently on numbers. We have many, many views in America, many across the world. I'm not joking. If you have a phone,
You can find
us
us.
on Facebook. You find me personally on Facebook. I will put you on the show. Leroy will put you on the show. No one is exempt from the show. If you have a different opinion than what I have, Jesse was on the show, and I know Jesse. He likes it, but
And that's the bottom line. Zach said so.
but again, I don't even know if I'm allowed to use that.
Well, we didn't use the other name.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's fair.
I didn't use the full sentence.
Right,
It can
exactly.
be copyrighted if it's not.
But that's the
full
thing. But that's the thing. Once again, fan base podcast. You're welcome on anytime. If anybody thinks I'm right or wrong, please leave a comment. Please subscribe. And by the way, all of our subscriptions do actually end up benefiting all the people out there because when you subscribe, we get closer to being able to pay for the show with YouTube money and or Facebook money, and at the end of the day, all that money will be reinvested back into the company. We'll have bigger and better sets. Maybe when we can get out of this whole thing, we can come to your town. We don't know, but as of right now,
We're gonna be the new WWE backstage.
we're gonna try.
Oh.
But anyway,
Just
yeah.
way better. Way better.
Okay, all right, all
Of
right.
course, because I mean, we're better.
exactly.
Oh.
But anyway, Mark, thank you. Jesse, thank you.
No
And
problem.
for Zach and Leroy, as always, Leroy, thank you for being here as well.
Well, it's kind of live here, so I
Yeah,
kind of.
yeah, he does live here.
Oh, I just have one more thing.
Yes.
Packers suck.
There we
All
go.
right, yes.
Thank you all very much, and have a wonderful day. This is Zach signing off.